Coming up on the Age of Attraction reunion presented by the Viall Files. How many couples are still together? Raise your hands. Looks like Pfeiffer's not here. Does anyone know where she is?
I don't really feel comfortable airing this out.
All right, well, that's why we're here.
John, is there anything you would like to clear up in this moment?
What was it about, John? Speak your truth.
You took that from me.
I mean, we have gone through a lot of shit.
I don't want to cry.
If you think he was there to find love, go ahead and raise your hands.
Ooh.
You guys are, in fact, engaged?
I don't deserve to date someone who texts me, I feel disgusting with you.
You know, it's not easy.
Libby, how'd you feel?
God, I didn't expect to get emotional.
I'm hoping that people can see this and feel like this is okay.
Do you feel like you've both been able to really show up and be a team in those difficult moments?
In my mind, you were literally like my husband. Like there is nothing else.
I cried so hard.
An area that I've been weak, she's able to help me get through.
Has anyone had an issue with your age difference?
I almost didn't come out this week to LA.
You're like gaslighting a
I'm
little
not
bit here
gaslighting
because...
anyone, Teresa.
Ooh.
Yeah,
And it was
she
really, really
crushed.
sad watching that back.
It was.
Guys, I'm
just your words, man. I'm just
you hear what
asking
I'm
you
saying.
questions.
And I'll speak for you.
I never said that.
4 days in, I wanted to go home.
Tell him how it is now.
Why are you laughing, Derrick?
That wasn't it at all.
Well, shit. Like, that's something that I probably needed to know.
You don't want to say anything?
I don't know. No.
You honestly didn't like Leah.
I'm going to defend my woman or any woman in my life. Period.
Have you met his daughters?
I have not.
Why?
Yeah.
Why not? And he was yelling from afar at y'all to start?
No, absolutely not.
How
And I'd
close
love
was
to hear.
he?
Yeah.
So,
And you want to air all of our dirty laundry? Let's do it.
Is there a chance you guys could get back together?
Right over here.
Welcome back.
Did you go again?
Where's Leah?
There she is. She has arrived.
I'm not playing with y'all today.
Oh, I saw that.
I don't remember our first conversation. The one about Prince Eric.
Well, I mean, you kind of led with that.
Blown out.
Do we need a shot?
Cheers, cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Don't hold back.
Don't hold back. All right, we're gonna start in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Welcome to the Age of Attraction Season 1 reunion. I'm your host, Nick Viall.
And I'm Natalie Joy. We are so excited to be here with all of the cast of Age of Attraction to unpack all of the burning questions that you have been dying to know. And we're not going to leave any gap unexamined.
This is a show about regular people finding love outside the confines of societal pressure and influence, and seeing if their commitment to each other can survive in the real world.
Some of our couples found that love was enough. Others realized that their differences may be too much to handle.
This is the very first time the entire cast has reunited since filming, and they are here to give us all the tea about their experiences on the show and life after committing or not.
Teresa, as a stylist, who's best dressed today?
There's only one answer.
Me.
Yes, love
I would
it.
say myself and then Vanelle and then Libby and then...
Does anyone need some work?
Yeah. I mean, there's always room for improvement.
How far in are we?
I can give you guys my rates later.
There we go. There we go.
John, how's the royal family doing? Any drama to report?
No drama. Still working on my accent, but
Okay.
I'll get back to you guys on that.
I without giving us the whole recipe though, describe the potato recipe? Like what's the
Thinly sliced.
Okay.
Got to make them extra crispy.
okay.
A ton of extra sharp cheddar cheese
Okay.
and salt.
Okay,
All right.
that's it.
You can
Great.
always.
And we bake it in an oven at 450?
It's
or-
funny because we were
okay.
baking in, what was it, Fahrenheit or Celsius?
Celsius.
And I didn't know what the temperature was. And I
Okay.
thought I was going to burn the whole place down, but how good was it?
I mean, I think I was risking a heart attack, but it was really good.
Libby, quick, which Spice Girl is Victoria Beckham?
Posh.
Love.
go.
Good job.
Guys, and there was no Googling done. I've just gotten enough feedback and roasting. I don't even have to look anything up.
Andrew, you've gotten a haircut?
No, I haven't gotten a haircut.
You let it grow out.
Let it
New
grow out.
hairstyle.
New
Yes,
hairstyle.
I do.
Yeah.
And a little tan.
Yeah.
Where you been?
Down in Florida, thawing out.
Thawing out.
Okay.
Golfing.
Yes, of course. Vanessa, loving the pink lipstick.
Of course.
4th of July, has it been coming around often or?
Yeah, we celebrate 4th of July at least once or twice a month when we come to visit each other. So every time's a holiday.
It's coming along great.
It's coming
Okay, hey, set the record straight right now with everybody in here and let them know. Just let them know.
He puts it down.
It's good. It's much better.
He is so serious.
We didn't finish, huh? That's crazy. That is crazy. Hey, her shit's fire. Why do you think I put a ring on it? Okay. I can't help it.
We'll give you your moment. Logan, how are the optics today?
The optics are great. I think I look good. What do you think?
You look great.
Optics are good. Everybody looks good. Yeah, optics are great.
Jorge, you looking dapper as ever?
Thank you so much.
Any new tattoos?
I'm working on one.
Okay.
Yes, because I'm St. Diction,
Okay.
Is it AOA?
That's a good idea. Put some AOA in a river right down my arm. I think that would be a good.
Hey, anything but a mountain.
Anything but a bear.
Vanelle.
Oh, that was
Hi.
You're looking stunning.
Thank you so much.
How are you feeling?
I feel okay.
Okay. Okay. Why are you nervous?
I don't know. I'm just nervous.
Well,
You're in
look
good
great.
hands.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Chris, why are you wearing sunglasses?
Celebrity.
It was bright in here.
Okay.
Don't you think?
Are you going to take a nap?
Hiding the eyes a little bit.
Do you need to take a nap? Yeah.
Just in case I need to close my eyes while everything's going on in here, you know?
Okay. You ready to get going?
I don't want, keep the emotions out of it for a second.
Okay.
For a second.
Derrick, your skin is looking very smooth and shiny.
Thank you.
Adding anything new?
No, lots of water, moisturizer.
That's right.
Always.
That's it, y'all.
Always.
Water and staying out of the sun.
Absolutely.
Was allegedly.
You go to the beach, you got to bring an umbrella.
Umbrella with some chairs and set it up.
Put
Done.
it in. Done. All day long. All day long.
You're not playing.
Leah, you've been flying anywhere recently?
No, I've been off. You guys, I live a very flexible lifestyle. That's facts. But I do leave to New York on Sunday.
Busy. We love
A
it.
little bit sometimes.
Well, we are very excited to have you all here. And I think let's just start with the question I think everyone wants to know. By a show of hands, who are the couples that are still together?
2, 3.
Two couples. We got Andrew and Libby, Logan and Vanessa. I'll be honest, Logan and Vanessa, I didn't think you two had it in you.
It is.
Yeah.
It's beautiful to see.
Let me tell you, the show started after the show was wrapped. That's when real life came in. And that's where I wish people could have seen more of.
Love that. Well, John and Theresa, you guys committed.
Yeah.
At the
We did.
ceremony.
Definitely did.
How are we
That
feeling
was
today?
real.
That was real.
I mean, I'm feeling good. John and I are in a really good place, and I think we still have I still have some sort of questions that I would like some answers to. But I think for the most part, we tried. It was, a combination of factors that led us to where we are today. But yeah, I mean, I'm happy with where we are today. I think it's a very good show of what we did have, the fact that we are really in a good place right now.
Well, we will certainly want to unpack everything that's happened since filming and kind of really understand how we got to today a little bit later. Logan, you so eloquently put it at some point in the season that the older people come with a lot of baggage.
Eloquently.
But in fairness, there is some truth to that, and I think it's interesting watching it back. Obviously, Natalie and I have an age difference, and I think everyone who, like the Theresas, Vanessa, Leah, Andrew, Jorge, I think all of us that were dating younger people, I think that's a very relatable thing, right? And I think a lot about this show really came down to if you're someone who's lived some life you've had some relationship, you come in with some scars. When you're dating someone younger, I know it was with Natalie, I think the big question is like, what have you been through? Have you been through the ringer? Has your heart been crushed as well? Like when you're saying, I've been through a lot, does my partner understand? And quite honestly, I think that's a big measuring stick. It wasn't until I learned about Natalie's past, not that I was rooting for her to have bad relationships, but the fact that she could relate, I've been broken by another human being in past relationships. And if you're dating someone who doesn't understand that, that can be a huge disconnect. With that being said, I just want to open up to the group, starting with Theresa. You referenced a lot of times throughout the show some very difficult relationships from your past. At your comfort level, can you just give us a little bit of insight into some of the things that you have been through and the impact that had on you as a person and how that helped or affected you in relationships, specifically with John?
Yeah. We can talk about things that break you from relationships and then just life itself, right? Because it comes in so many different forms. And so I think John and I had talked about that. He was really broken by his disappointment in baseball and everything. And so I think that was where we kind of could relate to that disappointment when you really are depending on something, you really think something's going to happen for you. And then without any control, it just falls apart and you're just broken by that. For me, obviously, I've lived, many, many lives in some ways. And my relationships have been some good, some not so good. I think from the very beginning, not to take up too much time, but I had my brother pass away when I was 18. And that was my first sort of relationship that just broke without any expectation. It was very sudden. And, you get the rug pulled out from under you when you have this relationship that you're depending on and all of that. And so that was number one. And then, just relationships that I had after I got divorced that were, you really think someone is being honest with you. And then you come to find out that, they're lying, they're cheating, they're just not in it for the same reasons that you're in it. And so, it's been really hard to get over those. Before I came on the show, I really did work on myself and heal from a lot of those hurts. And so I felt like, I was in a really good place to start looking for someone that could be my person.
What about you, Vanessa? You've obviously came in very vulnerable talking about your 4 engagements.
Yes, my 4 LeBron rings that I had. So I've had some trials. I was a single mom at 18 years old and I had to work full time and go to college and take care of my daughter. And, I had some relationships and I really was kind of like a serial monogamist for a while. And I poured my heart into these relationships and they didn't work out. And, it was really disappointing, but I don't want to let that define me as who I am. I'm pretty resilient. I've been really hurt, but I don't like to focus on that. And I wanted to look for something new and something fresh. And I wanted to heal.
Were there parts while getting to know Logan that were there things you needed to hear him say to make sure that he understood everything you've been through?
Yes. And, that's what I think about too, is a lot of times I was taking those past relationships and I was projecting them onto him. There's so many things watching it back and the things that I was saying. And I was like, that had nothing to do with him. That was my past, coming back to get me and, insecurities about that sort of thing. So, he was the first one that really listened to me and we talked a lot. He knows more about me than anyone else, even some of my girlfriends, and the things that we talked about. And that was just really important in us getting close and having intimacy on an emotional level.
Yeah. I'd like to touch on that just a little bit. And back to the comment that you made, you didn't think we were going to work out. Nobody did. I think anybody in the cast, you can ask everybody, because of the bickering, because of the arguments, a lot of people didn't think we were going to make it. But that's why, one of the things that you saw, and I just wasn't able to articulate my thoughts sometimes because of some of those arguments and some of the things that happened on the show. I was really, really trying to figure this woman out because I saw the essence of this woman who had been broken, but has gone through a past that, we're not going to talk about today, but I saw and heard the things that she's gone through, and it led her to where she is today. You know, she's a business owner. She owns a house. She makes great money, and I saw so much value in that, and being able to get past those things in life. Because a lot of times people will go through situations in life, and it makes or breaks you. And what she has gone through, I wouldn't be able to do it. So, and that's kind of where I fell in love with her.
I do want some clarification. You guys are, in fact, engaged?
We sure are.
Okay. I wasn't sure because will you do life with me isn't will you marry me? So I just wanted to make sure that wasn't actually an engagement.
So I think because he's young, he just didn't know the right terminology. You know, he forgot. It's different for the young ones. You know what I mean?
He was nervous.
But I will say this: I watched them at the airport with no cameras, and I watched Logan say goodbye to Vanessa. It was beautiful. He literally, you know, I think he was at the window. She was looking backwards. It was, you know what I'm saying? And I watched that because I think Derrick, we were there, and so I was just like, you know what? It was an honest connection because they were bickering, but once again, he was fighting. They were fighting for each other. And if you don't even see that, you don't have that, what do you know what I'm saying? It's empty. So y'all are.
So I wanted to say something about, I think that a lot of times when we say maybe scars or trauma or relational baggage, I think there's a plus side that comes along with that too. And the plus side, I think, is experience and knowledge. I think the experience and knowledge comes with it because I think sometimes if you lose, don't lose the lesson. The mistakes you may make in one relationship, you may take that forward and say, I'm not gonna make that. I'm gonna be a little bit more patient. I'm gonna be a little bit more this. And so I think that it's, I don't look at any relationship that anyone has as a failure. It's a lesson. And it's just moving on to find the perfect situation where you and a person understand each other.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. I mean, I always say, like, honestly, when it comes to my past relationships, I don't even remember like the happy times. I remember the sad times, but the sad times aren't like, I laugh at them now. They're things that we survived. I think when we are dating people who might be younger than us, when we hear things like, I want to throw caution to the wind, I think sometimes that's the moment you want to just make sure, yeah, let's throw caution to the wind, but like, you know, do you know what you're throwing to the wind, so to speak? And I think sometimes that's the thing I noticed with Theresa and Vanessa and Leah and myself in those relationships, and Andrew a little bit, when you're like having those conversations, but like, you know, do we know what we're betting on here? You know, it's like, let's get risky, but like, you know, we just want to make sure. So yeah, it's both a lesson, but we just want to also understand that our partner can relate to us.
We have more to risk in some ways because we've already like gotten ourselves to the point where, you know, we've been hurt so many times. It's like the level of what you can tolerate is lower, you know? So I don't know.
You're kind of like, not again.
Yeah.
You know, you're trying to avoid the not again.
Yeah,
you know?
definitely.
How was it just watching it back for all you guys? I mean, obviously being on reality TV is a bit of an experience. How's it been?
We're here.
Yeah, I get the ick a little bit.
Okay.
Definitely
a little cringe. From yourself or?
From myself.
A little cringe.
No.
Get over the cringe and we'll be okay. You know?
I think it's a very vulnerable thing, you know, to watch yourself on television. I'm a very hard critic, you know, so I've been very critical of myself. You know, it's not easy.
Yeah. Libby, how'd you feel?
I think I feel the same way. I'm definitely going to be critical of myself. You start noticing things, everything you've ever done. But I remember being in that experience thinking whatever anybody had to say about the way that I'm acting on this show, you don't know until you're experiencing it. You don't know how you're going to act in front of cameras. It's very much a weird environment where you don't have your phone, you're not around your family, you're really isolated and you're trying to explore a connection with somebody, and that alone can be a scary experience, but you're also trying to act yourself in front of the camera. And I think that for me, those two things together were really hard.
It's totally valid. Libby and Andrew left the retreat with a 16-year age gap and a mutual love of Taylor Swift in hopes that their love story would just say yes. But with Andrew's daughters and Libby's bright future, it seemed like we might have known their fate all too well.
That is until Andrew learned what a hard launch meant and decided to manifest it anyway. And they say age gap relationships don't teach you anything.
Well, how has that been for you two?
It's been great. First of all, I just wanted to put it on the record that if it speaks to anything of how weird this experience is, my mother notified me I've actually been to 3 Taylor Swift concerts. That's how delusional I was in this moment.
Okay.
Well, I want to work backwards a little bit. You are one of the couples that's still together. It was really fun watching you guys fall in love on this show, but how have you gotten to this point still in a relationship? What's the thing or things that you think has made it work?
I think that there's a lot that goes into being a long distance relationship, an age gap relationship, all of those things. And I think that you saw us really touch on the silly side of things on the show. But behind that, off camera or sometimes on, there were a lot of deeper conversations that were had, a lot of ways in which we realized that we were compatible that I never expected. And I really feel like he was able to meet me on the level that I was at, and we could kind of mutually benefit from our relationship, where I feel like I have things to learn from him, he has things to learn from me. And I feel like that's been the biggest thing for us, is just being great communicators, being open about everything. And honestly, I feel like I relate to him more in our relationship than anybody I've dated that's my age. And I think that he kind of feels the same way again.
Well, I'm curious, Andrew. I mean, I always talk, about how in our relationship, we are equals, and we really live that, where, the power dynamic is not off. I come to her with as many questions, looking for counsel, looking for advice as she does with me. I am curious, with Libby, what are some things that you really go to her on, and how has she been kind of just helpful with aspects of your life outside of just, getting Taylor Swift, knowledge and things like that?
She actually has a lot of wisdom. A lot of people, I don't think everyone in this room knows, I sold my business at the end of last year.
Okay.
And it was a weird thing for me. I'm 39 years old now. I'm kind of starting over. I'm in a transition period of my life, and she's been amazing. She's been there. There's been some days where I'm like, what am I doing with my life? What's next? And, she's been that rock for me throughout this process. And, I don't think that, I almost didn't come out this week to LA. I was thinking about staying home, and she was, there the entire time, like picking me up. So, yeah.
Libby, have you felt the age difference much being outside of the bubble?
Honestly, no. I think I felt it way less than you would expect. I think the only times I feel it are all in refreshing ways. It's when I can have an open conversation with somebody about my feelings, when it's when I need advice from somebody else. A lot of different things come into play that I never expected, that are all good parts. And honestly, I don't think anybody looks at us and is like, oh, these two have an age gap. You know what I mean? So I really forget the whole concept of this show, and the fact that there was a time where I was like, holy crap, this person is 38 years old with teenage kids. I'm 22. I forget that whole thing happened, because we never are like, we're in an age gap relationship.
Has anyone had an issue with your age difference, either online or in the wild, so to speak?
Yeah, so obviously online, I think that something important to note about this experience is that we didn't know each other's ages. Obviously, I look younger than he is, but I think that he thought there was only people 25 and older. So I remember feeling bad. I felt like I age fished him, and I was like, I'm so sorry about that. As soon as he said his age,
so
I was
did
like,
Jorge, because he didn't know 60-year-olds were there either.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, right? I mean, I didn't like that comment either. By the way, Drew, I'm gonna hold you on that one. Like, oh, this dude's like ancient, man. I didn't know he was here. He's my boy, but he's like Moses. And
I feel like it's a compliment. Like, you look great. You look great for 60.
You look great for Moses. Hey, man.
You look great for 60.
Right. I like that underhanded comment. Oh, yeah, you look great for being Moses. I didn't know he looked that good.
Jorge, I think you age fished everyone.
Wow. Thank you. From you, I'll take that. That's a compliment. But for him, no.
I'm curious, Libby and Andrew, what are any challenges that you guys have had to work through over the past few months?
I would just say the whole long distance thing is a little bit of a challenge, but I think we've both been really good about that. We have great communication. We see each other a lot. And honestly, we haven't really had many problems in our personal lives with people having things to say about our age dynamic. Obviously, you're going to make assumptions if you know it, but I don't think he brings me around as like, this is Libby. we have a significant age gap. Do you see it? I think that his friends see me for the person that I am and his family. And same with mine. They've been incredibly accepting because they know me and they now know him. So I think that it's way easier to be like, okay, these are these two individuals and this is a relationship, not like here's an age gap relationship and what does that mean? And also, like I was saying, it's important to note that we didn't know each other's ages. Had he been 38 and approached me and been like, oh, you're 22, that's perfect. I would have been like,
red flag.
and maybe he would have thought the same if I was like, hey, Mr. 38. Like, because it isn't normal for that to just be on the table and then move forward. So I think that that would have stopped us in the real world.
Well, are y'all planning on shortening the long distance? Has there been conversations of like what that might look like?
Yeah, that's the next step for our relationship is trying to figure out the long distance thing and end that.
So you would move to Baltimore?
No.
Oh.
We still don't know the end.
Okay, we're still figuring it out.
Is there a clear path to?
We're thinking Florida and just split time. But at least I will split time between Florida and Baltimore.
Okay.
Well, Andrew, early on in the show, you said that you were used to dating younger. They were fun. They were crazy. Do you still feel that way?
Libby's not that crazy. Like, I mean, she.
You heard it here first.
Not that crazy. She has, some crazy comments from time to time, but she isn't.
Crazy in the best way.
Yeah, in the best way, in the best possible way.
Clock it.
But no, she's really surprised me with her communication. Doing the long distance thing, I think towards the end of the show, I was like really nervous about that because communication in my past relationships hadn't been that great. And that's living in the same city, staying with each other, multiple times, throughout the week. So I'm like, how is this going to work with her being on the West Coast and me on the East Coast? But I think that's where our relationship has been so strong is our communication is fantastic. For someone that is 22, like she's a great
23 now.
23 now.
That's right, girl.
She communicates great.
We used to do that a lot too.
Every birthday, you're
Every number, I'm like, it's okay. It
And a
seems a little
half.
better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually 23.5 now. So what you know about younger?
And by younger, I mean, they have me saying younger, blonde, younger. The mother of my children, she's a brunette. She is older. I'm 30, I'm 8 on the show, 39 now. If I dated a 32-year-old, she's younger. Like what I have found, and this is no like knock on anyone that's older here, like any of the older women, what I have found dating closer to my age and in the 40s is it's, typically someone that's divorced, someone that has kids. And we all have deal breakers. We all have things that, I've always said that I didn't want to be with someone that has kids or someone that is divorced. And that's no knock on that at all. That's just like something for me that I just haven't been open to. And maybe some people will be upset about that. But like for me, that's just like one of those things. So what I do want people to know is I didn't go searching for a 22-year-old. We didn't know each other's ages. And I very much thought, and I don't know where, I don't remember who told this to me, but I thought the age demographic on the show was 25 to 55. Like I really did. My shock I think you can see that in the promise room. Like I'm thinking through and I'm like, who told me?
Who lied to me?
But.
And what were some of your biggest insecurities or fears about the idea that Libby was 22 and yet you were having feelings for her?
I mean, I just had this preconceived notion. My past 2 relationships, I did date, women that were in their 20s and it didn't work out. So I'm like, okay, here we go again. Like, are we going to be able to meet each other where the other person is in life? Like, are we going to be able to communicate effectively? So I was just worried about that. I'm like, I don't want to waste my time. I'm getting older. I don't want to be in another relationship where we're not going to be able to make it work, where we're not going to be able to communicate, where we are at 2 different places in our lives. It's just, I think, for some of us older people, you can agree, like the last thing you want to do when you get up there a little bit in age is like waste your time on something that's not going to work.
Yeah. What is something about your relationship that you guys have found is just surprisingly easy?
The long distance. Like, again, I thought it was going to be much harder.
Okay.
And I feel like it's the healthiest relationship when it comes to communication, really actually like kind of all aspects of the relationship, but so healthy when it comes to communicating. And I thought it was going to be much, much more challenging being, in a long distance relationship.
I was genuinely surprised just by every facet, meaning compatibility wise. I don't think I've ever been with somebody who had just the same outlook on every single thing as me, the same goals, the same, like we see everything in the same light. And I don't think I've ever been in a relationship or even had like friends that were that similar to me. And I just remember we were so eye to eye on everything. And obviously I really liked him when we were in Whistler, but when we moved in together, I was like, wait, this is super weird. Like we're doing all the same things. We just, even when it comes to, you'll see on my friends who are like, Libby, it's not a roommate, it's a relationship, which very true. But those things can be detrimental things to a relationship. I think we both like things a certain way. We're a little OCD. And I don't think anybody in this experience, anybody else in the world could have gotten me to the place that we ended up, because he was the only one to be like, hey, listen, let's be a little bit more serious. I know there's something more to you because I've heard it. And so you're safe to open up to me, etc. And I think that we're both super lucky to have found somebody so like specifically perfect for the other person. And I just remember literally walking on sunshine and rainbows and butterflies being like, wait, is this what it's like to be with somebody who is actually compatible with you? Like it was a crazy experience, honestly.
Your friends also suggested that he should get Botox. Have you?
God.
That was
Why though?
harsh.
That was
right?
harsh.
He has nice skin.
He does. I didn't say it. She did. My Nina girl. My angel. That's just our relationship. Like she'll look at me and be like, why are you sitting like that? What are you wearing? Whatever. And that's always warranted with me. Like I love it. I'm like, thank you so much. You're the best. That's true love to me. And also, even though she was super harsh, she protects me. Like, and she's very much a realist. So to me, that's a true friend, is somebody who will clock you. Maybe not your mans and tell them that they need Botox. We have that problem with her too. Okay, it's not the first time she's gone after somebody like that. But like we said, she had the headband on and she was ready to fight. And then you see me go, Nina, we can't say that, Mike. But yeah, that's sometimes we've all got that friend, but she defends me with her chest, and we love her.
Andrew, you mentioned on the show that you had some nerves about holding Libby back, which is a feeling I really related to, because obviously when Natalie and I got together, she was basically Libby's age. And there's this kind of thought of like, yeah, we have a great connection. You like me now, but are you going to feel the same way with me in 3 or 4 years? You know, we came to find that we were surprisingly kind of on the same path in terms of like what we wanted for ourselves at the stages of life that we were in. I'm curious, how were you able to work through those insecurities and fears, and how have you and Libby kind of figured out what the path that your guys are on?
I mean, I still have those fears, I think, from time to time. You know, for me, I have 2 daughters. They're teenagers at this point. I have went back and forth in my head, like, do I want more children? I definitely do, but I also think there's like a cutoff for me. I'm 39 years old. I don't know if I want to be having a baby at 46, 47. So does our time frame in terms of like when she wants kids and, you know, where I would be open to having kids too. So I think that's, you know, still something that worries me a little bit. And I think I was even worried about it towards the end of the show. They don't show it as much, but I definitely was, you know, thinking back and forth, like, am I going to hold her back? You know, what if she wants to take the next 10 years to really focus on her career, and she's 33 and wants to have kids, and at that point, you know, I'm 49.
Dead.
Yeah.
I'm dead.
That's old.
Have you guys, I mean, are you guys on the same page in terms of that timeline? Have you guys talked about kids or what that looks like?
Yeah, like I said in the show, I probably am not the typical 23-year-old where I just want to go crazy, experience life. Like, there is that part of it, but there's also the part where, to me, experiencing life is having a stable relationship with a person that's good for me and a family and being happy. To me, that's experiencing life. As far as kids and everything is concerned, that was a big conversation and a big part of the relationship. And I think you see me being like, oh, I like that he has kids, whatever, but it doesn't really show my kind of excitement about that. After I processed it, I was like, okay, I really like that this person is a girl dad. It says a lot about him. It shows that he's more mature. There's definitely a certain responsibility that comes along with kids. And sometimes when you're looking for a partner, you wonder, can this person handle kids? Would this person be a good dad? And I was really refreshed to see that I already saw that in him. And for me, that was a huge green flag. And yeah, I think that we had to come to terms on the show with the fact that to be with me would entail having more kids and being aligned on that timeline. And that was one of the big conversations that was really hard for me to hear his reservations and his doubts about that, because that's something that's super important to me. I've always wanted to be a mom. But yeah, honestly, when I heard he had kids, it just made me take him more seriously and just see him as a better candidate. And I think we are aligned on the timeline, meaning he can't wait forever. And I've always wanted to be, obviously not at this age a mom, but a mom eventually, and probably sooner than later. My parents had me on the younger side. They've been married for 30 years. They're an amazing example of what I want in a relationship. And so if I were to even have something that looked similar to that, I would be super happy.
Well, we've wrapped filming almost a year ago-ish. Have you met his daughters?
I have not.
Okay. Why?
Yeah.
Why not?
So we're trying to figure out the long distance thing first. The show, you're in a bubble. It's all fun and games. You're enjoying life. You're going to the pool midday on a Monday. It's a little bit different.
Sometimes.
Everything since then, too, has felt kind of like the honeymoon phase for us. It's, we see each other once a month and we're in LA or we're in Florida or we're in Baltimore and we're enjoying ourselves and having fun. We haven't really been able to test our relationship in terms of like spending significant amount of time together in the real world, doing our day to day, getting up, going to the gym, going to work, coming home, eating dinner together. I was very adamant about this on the show. I am super, super protective of my daughters. Like, I made myself a promise after introducing my daughters to one of my exes, the only person that's ever met them. I told them, unless it's going to be my forever person, and I know that, I'm not introducing someone. I don't want them to see someone come in and out of their lives. It's not fair to Libby. It's not fair to my daughters. It's not fair to me for that to happen. So, long story short, I want to see that we can move in together, that the relationship is headed to us getting engaged, spending the rest of our life together before, we make that introduction.
So like it has to be an engagement before that happens?
I don't think, no, not an engagement. I think that would be a little weird, to be like, oh, hey, by the way,
Meet my fiance.
this is my fiance. But I think it has to be, I have to know, like, I'm putting a ring on it. That's the direction that it's going.
Do they know that Libby exists?
They do.
They do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I mean, I am a father now, but I'm not like a father like you are, a single father who's out there dating. So like everything you're saying totally makes a lot of sense in terms of the sensitivity around it. Just to play devil's advocate, I mean, you're kind of saying two things at the same time. And one of that almost kind of sounds like, I don't know how it's going with Libby almost. I'm curious, Libby, like how does that make you feel, knowing that like his reasoning makes a lot of sense, but at the same time, are you internalizing that as, what does that say about us?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there is an interesting element of this, of the fact that it's a TV show, and I don't think I would be ever, well, obviously the relationship isn't a TV show, but it will be shown on a TV show. And there's an element of judgment that's going to be made one way or another. So for me, that's the only hard part, is I don't want anybody in his family to see a little clip of me and make any assumptions versus like me in real life.
What do you mean by that?
I like them not meeting you and only watch you on TV. You're
exactly.
nervous that
and just keeping that image of me in their mind before they got a chance to make their own judgment, because like we said, it's a show. 4 weeks doesn't summarize you as a person. Your nervous self on camera isn't you as a person in your entirety. So there's that. But also I just want to say, like, I really respect the fact that he's mature enough to be like, hey, it's not appropriate for me to be bringing people in and out of somebody's life. And when there's kids in the picture, I think it's hard for me to talk about, because I never want to overstep, because that is somebody else's family that didn't ask for their life to be put on camera and for them to be talked about to the public. So I just honestly am mostly respectful of his maturity to the situation.
Okay.
Have you met the mother of his children?
I have not.
Is that something that you're looking at doing at some point?
I mean, I think that would just boil down to her. If she wants to, I would offer that. I did it, the last time that someone met my daughters, I, did ask her, like, did you want to meet her first before I make the introduction to the girls? But I'm going to leave that up to her. She's going to make her own decisions. I can't speak for her if she'll want to meet Libby.
Okay.
And I'm curious, I mean, do you guys talk about, and it seems like it's still fairly early in the relationship, but like, do you guys talk about engagement at all? Or are we just focusing on closing the long distance and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, as far as engagement's concerned, like this whole show thing is kind of a wrench in the plans. Like we've been on the low. So we both know that like we see each other as a potential partner, spouse, whatever. But are we day to day like, so when you pop in the question, no.
Okay.
And also, yeah, there are those more important things about a relationship that you really need to test first before you are to get engaged of anything of the sort. One being living together for extended amounts of times. Another being dating somebody who has kids and being a part of that. That's a whole other life that I haven't experienced.
Okay. Let's take a quick break and then we'll be right back to get into it with the rest of the couples. Don't go away. If you enjoyed watching Age of Attraction and are interested in possibly finding love for yourself on season 2 of Age of Attraction, be sure to go to ageofattractioncasting.com to apply because your future love story could be waiting for you. This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. Financial stress can affect us more than we know. Whether it's financial stress, relationship stress, or work stress, well, it's often better to help get it off your chest and talk to a mental health professional. And BetterHelp has been helping people get into therapy and dealing with their mental health struggles for a long time now. We all understand that therapy can be intimidating, certainly expensive, and often feels inconvenient. BetterHelp is helping people alleviate all those hurdles. With over 30,000 therapists that they're working with, they help ensure that you are going to match with a therapist that you feel safe and connect with, and you can switch therapists for free every single time until you land on someone you love working with. BetterHelp does the initial matching work for you so you can focus on your therapy goals. But again, if it doesn't work out with that therapist, you can switch for free. With an average rating of 4.9 out of 5 for a live session based on over 1.7 million client reviews, you know BetterHelp works. When life feels overwhelming, therapy can help. Sign up and get 10% off at betterhelp.com/VIALL. That is BetterHelp, HELP.com/VIALL.
Do you ever have that one piece that you've been searching for forever and either can't find it anywhere or it's way overpriced? I used to just assume if I missed it, it was gone. Like whenever I see an influencer post an outfit, I'm like, oh my God, that skirt's so cute. And they're like, sorry, sold out 4 months ago. I'm like, you know what? Let me go look on Poshmark because I know I'm going to find it there. It is my go-to anytime I'm hunting for something specific. Poshmark is the leading fashion resale marketplace shaped by real people and real style. Millions of new and pre-loved items from daily wardrobe staples to vintage and luxury fashion. Archive-worthy pieces you thought you missed forever, current essentials, one-of-one vintage finds, it's all there. You can find designer pieces like something from Prada, Miu Miu, Bottega, or if you're just looking for something from Free People or from Gap that maybe you saw and you missed, that maybe you were like, oh God, this is nostalgic, this is what I need. You can find it on Poshmark, and when you're ready for a closet refresh, you can earn real money selling the pieces you're ready to part with, reaching more than 80 million users on the platform. New deals and styles are listed every day, so don't wait. Download the Poshmark app and use code VIALL10 when you sign up to get $10 off your first purchase, or shop now at poshmark.com/VIALL10 and get $10 off your first purchase. That's POSHMARK.com/VIALL10. And we're back with the Age of Attraction reunion.
Well, Vanelle and Jorge bonded over a shared love of God and a deep desire for commitment. But with their 33-year age gap and different feelings about communication, temperament, and boundaries soon came to light. Sadly, these struggles in their relationship forced it to an abrupt and disappointing halt. So how are you two doing today?
I'm fine.
Okay.
We're cool.
All right.
I still have love for her. For me personally, I think, and I will always think, Vanelle is an amazing, beautiful woman. And I think the world of her, and she knows that. We talked after the show, and I have nothing but love for her.
Oh, you did? So y'all had a moment after the show.
Mm-hmm.
And whose decision was that? Who reached out?
Vanelle reached out to me.
Okay. What was that feeling of wanting to reach out to him?
I think after leaving the show and coming back to real life, it was just kind of weird to just act like, that whole connection didn't exist, that I just didn't know that person. So I reached out and, I missed him. I wanted to, try to see if we can try to make it work. And yeah.
It was very disappointing to see you guys break up because at the time, I know you guys were very excited about each other. Certainly you, Vanelle, had a lot of hope and optimism about the potential. Where do you think ultimately things went wrong?
I think for me, like, we weren't aligned on my abstinence. Our communication was definitely a huge factor. Yeah, I think mainly those two things, but mainly the communication.
And what do you mean by the abstinence side of things?
I think you can see on the show, it kind of just was blurred a little bit. Like, obviously, Jorge was a little bit confused on like where the abstinence, lied because of the romantic moments we had and stuff. And we didn't really like have like deeper conversations about that and like what those boundaries were.
I guess looking back, because a lot of that moment was about you telling Jorge that you were celibate and just hoping that, you would get as obviously as you would hope to get like I want to respect that. I want to support that. And it didn't seem like, again, Jorge, you really understood what she meant by celibate, or maybe you had some of your own assumptions and that seemed to lead to some communication problems.
Well, no, actually, I think so. I like the fact that she said abstinent because it's not, it's celibate, it's abstinent. But I did not have a problem. So one of the things is this: my connection with Vanelle was very real, very serious. As I've told y'all, and I was very protective of her. And when I say protective of her, not only protective of her from the outside, but protective of her from me. I'm not going to do anything to try to offend or hurt her. And everything I did, and every way I tried to handle it with care as best I could, so that she understood. And I understood that when she said it, when we first talked, and she said it. So then my thoughts went to, okay, well, Vancouver, we gonna do a lot of talking because we ain't doing nothing else. But like she said, some of the romantic moments confused it for me. And I think when I look back at it, I always say, communication is key for me. Communication, everything. You're gonna hear me say it over and over again, because as in my profession as a lawyer, most times people misunderstand each other and they'll be talking apples and oranges and they go apart because they never really understood. And I think that happened with Vanelle and I, because honestly, if you look at it, she was saying, she kept asking me, what do you think about it? And I kept telling her, I don't know. And I think that set her off because it made her think that, well, no, that's not acceptable. And so when I look back at it, I said, you know what? It wasn't her, it was me on the communication tip, because I should have said, well, listen. And when we were talking, I wanted her to say, see, everybody in Vancouver was, I don't know. Because I don't know meant, I don't know if we're gonna be together. I don't know if we're gonna continue a relationship. I don't know, there's a bunch of I don't knows. So the way I felt about it was, well, first off, I'm a little confused. I always think that as a man, I need to step forward and say, okay, so what does actually your abstinence mean? Like, give me a blueprint. And I didn't do that. I assumed that when she said abstinent, it meant nothing. And so then when we do stuff, I'm like, okay, this is not abstinence, so maybe it's negotiable. Maybe it's something you're struggling with. So that would be, I'll take the brunt for that, because I don't believe I'm not big into pointing fingers at you. Let's look at it collectively and see what we can do to better communicate. And I think, as I said then, it was a communication thing. And it could have been improved, and I always take my responsibility.
I'm curious, Vanelle, obviously in today's culture, hookup culture is pretty prevalent. It obviously, as you expressed, has been a challenge for you dating. Has your relationship with Jorge and how things unfolded, has it given you a different perspective of how you communicate your celibacy going forward?
Yeah, definitely. And I think like coming into this experience, like outside of this, like dating situations like this have been easier for me to avoid. Like I'm not, I've never lived with a guy before. I'm not putting myself in these types of temptations. But, coming to this experience, I really wanted to fully give myself into this process and really see where it goes with Jorge. I was literally like obsessed with him. So yeah, there are times when I'm literally living with someone that I had an extremely strong emotional connection to, also really physically attracted to. So yeah, like, there are times where maybe I fell short a little bit, but maybe going forward, just be a little bit more like, stern about my boundaries. But like I said, on the outside world, I'm not putting myself in situations like this.
Okay. There was also a big moment throughout that I think might have been right before your breakup. Something happened on the streets of Vancouver. Vanelle, I'd like to kind of have you clear that whole situation up and get into kind of the details of it all, just because the show didn't. So can you tell us what happened in that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess Jorge can say his part too, but from my experience, I thought there was just like a random guy on the street just yelling over like, yo, you talking blah, blah. And obviously like Jorge turns around and is like, oh, like mind your business or whatever. And then they're both going at it. And it comes to a point where, you know, the guy's walking behind us. He has his skateboard in his hand. And, you know, him and Jorge are still like, you know, going back and forth about it. And it starts to get to a point where it gets escalated and, you know, they're talking about fighting each other. And I think for me in that moment, I think that was my first time seeing Jorge like upset. Like I saw like a different side to him, and it just, you know, it was different for me. And
What about that? Because we had an opportunity to talk with you prior to now.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, it's an interesting conversation, right? Because on one end, I think as guys, you know, we want to protect our ladies. We want to, you know, be there for them. I feel like my wife expects that of me as well, but there are also situations where it's like, you know, you use the phrase, I wanted to diffuse the situation. And then the question is, you know, how do you go about diffusing the situation? When we talked to you before, you suggested that when the things first happened, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, so correct me if I'm wrong, that you felt like Jorge could have done something different to diffuse the situation. And in fact, you almost felt like he escalated it to a point. Can you elaborate on that?
I definitely still feel that way. I feel like, you know, at that point when they were just still like, you know, arguing with each other, I felt like we could have maybe just like ignored that person and kept walking. I felt like it didn't need to get to a point where they're both wanting to like be physical with each other. Also, for me, like I was uncomfortable in that moment because, you know, this person could have had like a gun, could have had a knife, could have done something. But also it was just like a random person, right? Like that's not someone we knew. So it could have been avoided in my opinion.
And he was yelling from afar at y'all to start?
No, absolutely not.
How close
I'd love
was
to
he?
hear. Yeah.
So, when Vanelle first called me, that's why I'm a little surprised what you just said, because she said, when we first talked, she said, I understood you were protecting me after talking to my mother and her friend. But so the situation, it's still clear in my mind. I don't forget that kind of stuff. And one of the things I said to Vanelle is, I've been in the streets. I've come from the hood. So I know a situation when I see one. And what happened is, so we're standing waiting for the light to change. And actually, we're joking. And so I said something to her like, you crazy girl. Right? So we're laughing. And this guy comes up and says, what the fuck did you say to me? So first off, you're behind my woman, right? You're saying that to me. So what I said to him was, first of all, I'm talking to her. Second of all, you better watch how you talk to me. And I made it very clear because I've never known any time when I've been on the streets that someone who poses a threat goes away by saying, can you please leave us alone? No, that's not gonna happen. So I wanted to let him know, I'm not having that. So when I said that, he said, yeah, that's what I thought. That's what he keeps talking. Okay, that could have arrested. The light turns, so we get ready to walk across the street. As we're walking, Vanelle is behind me, which is a problem for me, right? He's behind her with his skateboard. So that's what I'm like, oh no, he's not,
Okay.
I'm not gonna take a chance with this man hitting her over that. It's not gonna happen. And he kept walking. So I said, Vanelle, go in front of me, right? And then I turned and I said, I'm gonna tell you one time and one time only, walk away. And he's like, yeah, whatever. I said, and I ain't gonna lie, I said, I will bust your ass. I'm not playing with you. And I wasn't. The one thing I don't mind taking responsibility. I'm going to defend my woman or any woman in my life.
Period.
It's non-negotiable. So I told him that. And so then when he said something else, I just stepped towards him. And then he walked away. That was the end of it. Because I want him to know I'm not playing with you. Now, could have had a gun, could have had a knife, could have got hit by a car. I don't care. I'm not gonna let you pose a threat to my woman, period. What you and I deal with, so be it. But you're not gonna pose a threat to my woman, period.
Vanille, You wanted to say
Yeah,
something?
but I don't think I would say that guy was directly behind me. Like there was a good amount of distance between us when we were walking.
I think we see it differently. We see it
Okay.
differently. I think that I'm pretty well aware of where I saw him and pretty well aware of what he had in his hand. I don't think anyone would think, as an attorney, I know, come on, I'm not going to just go around, hey, let me start a fight with this random guy. No, I don't care about that. I don't care about that. What I care about is if my woman is in danger, if you pose a threat to her, then I'm going to take care of that. That's just the way I felt. With that said, I understand if she felt uncomfortable and that doesn't work for her, then I respect that. No problem. But what I said to her on the show, I stand 10 toes down. I'm going to do it every time in every situation. If we walk out of here today and we're all walking together and some man poses a threat, I'm going to step to him. Period.
I am curious, like just opening it up to the group, I imagine this is a fairly relatable topic for both men and women in relationships. And there seems to be kind of a gray area of like, hey, do I need the protection in this moment? Or are you puffing your chest and showing off, or are you diffusing the situation in the best possible way? Because it seems to be like almost a lot of gray area. And I'm just kind of curious what any of you have to say about it.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think as a man, you're just protected by nature. You should be. And if you're with your partner and someone poses a threat, whether you know what they have or don't, you're going to make sure your person is protected. And I get coming from different backgrounds. Jorge and I have a similar one. And so for me, like I relate to it. Like if someone's out of pocket, and you're right, you don't know if they have a knife or a gun or anything like that, but I'm not gonna let you walk behind me because I don't know if you have something on you, right? And if you back down, typically in those situations, they do actually continue to get aggressive. So you have to address the situation and say, hey, you gotta go that way, or it's a problem. And typically, a lot of times, like it happened with them, they'll just walk away. So for me, like I'm the same way. If I'm with my partner, anyone that I'm protective of, and someone's making us feel uncomfortable, I'm going to get rid of the situation.
Theresa, I feel like you have a lot of, you're listening intently.
Yeah.
I can see your brain moving.
I want to ask you.
But I
if
just
you
feel like
felt
I
threatened.
understand that if that person was right next to us. There was a distance between us. In the beginning.
Clarify distance for people, like was close to like from you to Natalie and now you to Nick, like how, because everyone's, I feel like this distance is like a thing. Like how close was the guy?
I would say like a distance from like here to like over there. Like we were walking,
Okay.
That guy was walking. Like,
He was far.
It was a distance.
But for you, how far was this man?
That is absolutely. So we were.
So why would he randomly say
I'm just
that?
going to tell you this.
I think
So
her opinion matters just as much as everybody else's.
We were stopped at a light.
I
So it means
understand.
we were waiting to walk across the
So
street.
he wasn't right behind.
So he
was walking.
So he came up. We're standing. He comes up.
So he's
from
by the
behind.
lamp right now.
So
that's
yeah,
close. That's close.
No, he comes up from behind, and he comes. So if Vanella's here, he comes closer to that and says something to me. Now we had Wrangler here and said the same thing. You need to get to step, and he said that to him. So when he comes up, if he's back there, why do I care? I don't care if you're back there and you're just yelling insults. But if you're here, that's a threat. Listen, people can. I'm just going to tell you what I saw and what I know, and it's like as if yesterday. I don't forget that type of stuff.
Obviously you guys aren't together. It doesn't seem like there's going to be a reconciliation, but how, pardon me?
Well, you tried. You didn't mean up. I mean, they said they cool. Remember they cool? You forgot? They said they cool.
I mean, listen, is there a chance you guys could get back together?
Let's go on.
Keep the skateboard alive.
But I am just curious, and like, how are you, question to both of you, like in a future situation where clearly you guys see this differently. I think we can agree on that we're agreeing to disagree. But in those situations that all couples have, how are you guys going to work through those relationships as opposed to just getting up and quitting?
I'm not, the athlete in me, I don't quit at anything. I'm gonna work through it. Part of it to me, like I said, I always keep going back to communication, because I think that if we understand, then it's like I was telling the guys, I said, if you're in a relationship with a woman and you and her say, we're on the same team, right? So we're never against each other. So then that means that no matter what happens, if someone feels disrespected, if someone feels misunderstood, instead of coming and going against each other, why not give the benefit of the doubt and say, well, what did you mean by what you just did or what you just said? Because it made me feel this way. And then it gives me the opportunity to say, nah, that's not what I meant at all. And I think when I said earlier about things you learn from relationships, when I was younger, it would just be a person yelling their opinion. And so to me, like I had told Vanelle, in the Bible it says, a fool delights in airing his own opinions, a wise man seeks to get an understanding. So rather than yelling back and forth, no, I learned from young that, okay, no, you know what, I'm gonna listen to you. I'm gonna let you talk until you're done talking. And then I'm gonna say, are you done? And then I want to respond to you so that you know that I heard you and I'm responding to you. But if it doesn't work, it doesn't. And so, but if it fails, I don't go, oh, she's just crazy. No, I go, okay, so how could I handle it better? Is there something I could have said differently? Because going forth, if I'm gonna go further in a relationship, I don't want that to happen again.
Vanelle, did you feel like he listened and then responded in y'all's communication?
Feel like when we had the conversation, I think in that moment we both were a little bit more like heightened, and neither of us were really truly like listening to one another or trying to understand each other. I think at that point it was more so just, or at least like neither of us were like resolution focused, I don't think.
You said that you felt like Jorge talked at you and not with you. Do you still feel that way?
Like now, present?
Like looking back at those conversations.
Yeah, we're watching it back.
Yeah. During those conversations, I think so, right? Because I think he was using words like, I have, experience in this, and I've been, through this, and I'm from here. And in those moments, I felt like he was talking at me.
During the show, you had mentioned that your family, or specifically your parents, didn't want you to date anyone older than 40.
10 years older.
10 years.
10 years older or something like that. What was it about Jorge and your relationship that made you so willing to ignore that after learning about his age?
I think at that point I was already obsessed with him. So the age literally did not matter to me. At that point, I was like, he could be 80 years old and I'd still be with him.
You clearly had those strong feelings, which I think is what makes us so sad that it didn't work out. But what were some of the things that he brought to this relationship that was different for you?
Yeah, contrary to belief, I liked how dominant Jorge. Jorge was, and also behind closed doors, he was just so sweet to all the girls too. Always checking up on everyone, making sure everyone's good. Always the person that all the guys would come to talk to. When I would talk to the girls about him, they all had the great things to say, and I really liked that. And like he said, he was very protective over me, and I felt safe with him at the time. And I could tell that Jorge wasn't someone that lets his guard down easily and opens up easily, and he did that with me. So yeah, I like those qualities about him.
Is there a part of you that regrets walking away that day?
I wouldn't say I regret walking away, but I think that day, if I could have communicated better that day, yeah, for sure.
Is there any chance that you guys reconsider this relationship? You're seeing each other. You guys are looking great. Is there anything you guys want to say to each other?
I think that the connection, there's no way in the world you can say that the connection isn't going to always be there. I don't believe that. So when I saw Vanelle, it's the same feelings that came right back up. I mean, I felt, once again, protective of her. I felt, and which is, for me, is weird, because normally when I meet a woman, it's like I'm processing information, to try to project how you will be. With Vanelle, it was yeah, it's kind of it's something about her. So, and it was different. And I stepped out of my comfort zone, and there were things different that Vanelle and I didn't have in common that I overlooked because I was like, I like her. So, but in reference to your question, you never know. I never say never, because you never know what happens. We saw each other, we hugged, we had some and so, but but do you know? But that being said, I feel like this. At the very least, we're friends for life. I told her there's never a time, if she ever needs to call me, I got her. If she ever needs anything, I got her. It's the same way. And even though she doesn't remember Vancouver very well as far as me protecting her, I'm still gonna protect you. I'm just playing. I'm kidding. But I have love her.
Is there anything you want to say to Jorge?
No, I think I feel the same. Like I'll always have love for Jorge. I'll always cherish, this experience we had together. Yeah.
I do want to give you an opportunity to address any feelings you might have about the questions that our people are having about when you chose to communicate to Vanelle that you had children.
Oh, thank you so much. Because I absolutely hate that shit. I am very, very proud of my children. I speak about them all the time. It's not something that I would hide from anyone, and I did not want to hide it from her. And it wasn't hidden from her. And if I would have followed my gut, and I'm just gonna say, I wanted to tell her on the third date. And that's what my plan was, but I couldn't. If I would have followed the way I believed, I should have told her right then. The thing about it is, how I justified it in my mind was, I'm not gonna lie to her. So when she said that question, I said, so you want kids? I'm not gonna lie. So for all you people out there saying, oh, he lied, I did not lie to her, but that is something that I take very serious. And when I shared it with her, and Vanelle said to me, so listen, where I'm at is, if my man wants children, then I'm down to have it. But if he doesn't, then I don't care. So that I think both of us are aligned with that, because my thing is, I've read people, oh, you're 60, you're gonna have kids. Man, Al Pacino had kids, shut up. So I feel like that would be something we determined if we stayed together. But I was definitely not hiding my kids. That was never something I would do. I think all of the men on here, we're all proud of our children, and I appreciate you for allowing me to address it.
I think it's obvious that you're proud of your kids. I think just what's interesting, because there's so much of your guys' relationship is about like the communication or where you guys struggled. It's interesting to hear how like mentally you had told yourself, I want to tell her on the third date. I want to tell her on the third date. And we had an opportunity to watch the promise room of you two. And when it all went down, Vanelle was like, I don't even know if you have kids or if you want kids. And she asked 2 questions back to back. You answered the second question. And it's just kind of fascinating. I wonder if you reflect on that, that mentally you were like, I want to tell her on the third date. And then you had this expectation or this question that you asked. And then all of a sudden she's like, he doesn't have kids. And you're like, oh, she's not worried about that. Do you think sometimes being kind of like that strong-minded person, that strong-willed person where like you're actually not listening to your partner as much as you think you are, because like she asked the question and you were so like committed to telling her on the third date rather than when she asked about it?
No, I think it's a more stubborn side of me. It didn't have to do with Vanelle. It was the fact that, okay, I wanted to tell her the third date and it was prevented. So you're not going to tell me when I'm going to tell her when. No one's going to tell me, unless Christ comes down. That's the only person who's going to tell me, hey, you need to do this and I'll do it. So if you tell me I have to do something, I'm going to tell her when I feel it's best. So but in hindsight, because of the way it looked, the optics of it, I would go back and say right in the promise room, tell her right then, because I didn't believe going into the promise room as much as I'll give you something that no one knew. Like I turned 60 down in Whistler, so I was 59. I did not want to say 60. I was like, that sounds old as fuck. I'm not saying 60. 59 sounds better. I'm just not fucking saying 60. And they were like, you're 60. And so I had to, and one of the things that I have struggled with, part of the reason I even came on the show is because I've never believed that age is a factor. And for me, I was age conscious because when people ask me my age, I'm like, how old do I look? 40. You're right. You're
40?
right. Yeah.
Okay, relax.
Please, watch yourself now. Don't make me come for you. Right? So, so I just felt like that was something that used to always bother me. But like one of the things when you just asked me, yes, if I had to do it all over again, I would definitely do it different. But the stubborn side of me was like, nah, I'm gonna tell her when I tell her. And that didn't have to do with Vanelle. But so, yeah, okay, I made a mistake.
Okay, I'm glad we got there. Question for both Jorge and Vanelle, but I want to start with you, Vanelle. With this show being about does age really matter when it comes to love? Vanelle, last time we spoke with you and talked about your breakup with Jorge, you were pretty strong by saying, actually, I think our age difference ended up playing a role in our relationship ending. As you sit here today after seeing Jorge, do you still feel that way?
I would say so, yeah.
Okay.
But also a lot of the things that played a role in us not working out was just our communication.
What part of the age difference played a role in the breakup?
I would say like what I said earlier, the part of when I felt like he was like talking at me, or maybe the way we were understanding each other.
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay. Jorge, how do you feel about that?
I don't think that's an age thing. I think that's, once again, a communication style.
Okay.
And you've asked me before, if that has come up before. And I think that just the nature of my profession, sometimes I can be interrogating folks or cross-examining. So I have to always check that. And so if ever my partner says, well, I don't feel like you're talking to me, I feel like you're talking at me, then that means I have to pivot and change the way I do it so that they don't feel that way. One of the things I shared with Vanelle was, if I had to do it all over again, it should have been a stop and say, okay, what works for you communication-wise and what works for me? Because me, I'm gonna be defensive if you come at me like that, and what's worked for you, so that we understand that. And I think it would have made it a little bit more easy. So if she felt that way, I think that anytime you're dealing in a relationship as a man with a woman, you have to be open to their feelings, and their feelings are 100%. You can't say, your feelings aren't valid. No, your feelings are always valid. So then if she says, well, I feel like you're talking at me, that wasn't said in Vancouver, but she said that's how she felt later. But if you tell me I feel like you're talking at me, well, then I'm gonna stop and pivot and say, okay, my bad, let me address you a different way.
Is it hard to hear that Vanelle feels that your age played a role in it?
No, because I don't think it did, and I'm not worried about that.
Okay.
Vanelle loves me, man. What you saying?
Well, before we move on, do either of you have anything you want to say to one another?
I say that, Vanelle, you know that our connection is dope and deep, and we have very strong feelings for each other. And I'm never going to say never, because you never know what might happen. And you and I know, just every time we be in the hallway, we're like, well, you know. So I'll leave that open. I'll leave that as a chapter open, and that as a book open. But you know my feelings are extremely strong for you, and you know our connection is on another level.
It is hot in here, you know.
Yeah,
doors
it's
always
hot.
Do you need a fan? I got you, baby girl.
Oh my God, no, I'm good. I mean, I would say I agree with, what you said. Like, the connections I had for you are really real and deep, and connection like that doesn't just, go away that fast, that quickly. Like, I literally, in my mind, you were literally like my husband. Like, there was nothing else, But yeah, I don't know.
Well, if you ask her out on a date, just let us know. You know what I'm saying? You know?
I'll text you. I'll text you. But one thing I just said to her, I don't want to belabor the point, but I said to her that I think a lot of times people act as being in love is a right, and it's not. It's a privilege, because it's why 3/4 of the world are lonely. So whenever you get the opportunity to have a deep connection with someone, you got to make sure that you exhaust every possibility. So.
Okay.
Due to Derrick's incredible skincare routine, he and Pfeiffer may not have looked it, but they were in fact 20 years apart in age. While they ended the journey with supportive parents and a commitment of staying together, life off camera pulled them in different directions. Unfortunately, Pfeiffer is celebrating her birthday in Japan and is sad to not be here. But Derrick, can you explain what happened post-filming?
Yeah, I think some of the things that showed up while filming, some of the questions she had or some of the concerns about her moving, across the country and giving up her life, friends and all that. I think, honestly, looking at it now, I think that it was just too big. It was too much. When she got back to her normal life outside of the bubble, I think that there was probably some influences there,
What do you mean by that?
Well, obviously there's an age gap. So her friends are probably, for the most part, much younger than me, right?
Okay.
And probably not married, probably single. So whether, the conversations she's having are influenced by a little bit of them being selfish because they don't want to lose their friend, and it's probably something that they haven't, experienced yet. And I get it, like looking at it like, wow, you went away and you found this guy and you're gonna pick up and move your entire life for just him. That doesn't make any sense. That's crazy. And so I understand where she probably was influenced, and I was concerned about it, and that was one of the things when we talked in Vancouver. I tried to address it as much as possible, but there was also this, Pfeiffer was a bit reserved with it. Like, she just was like, I want to be present in the moment. I don't want to think about that. And for me, it was like, well, we have to think about it.
Do you think Pfeiffer painted an accurate picture of what her life and lifestyle was back at home while you were dating?
That sounds good.
Why are you laughing, Derrick?
Oh, man. To a certain degree, I think.
What about to the degree that maybe she didn't?
So, yeah, I think that her living with her roommates, probably like college campus, sorority girl style.
I mean, I'll ask you straight. Like, you told me offline. I would love to hear you tell the story about how you found out where she lived.
Wow. All right, so it is what it is. Let's go. After she came to Dallas, obviously we broke up a few weeks after that. And, we had a conversation. She sent me a message. I left some things there. So can you mail them to me? And I'm like, yeah. And the way I am, she sent the message and I packed them up within 15 minutes. I'm like, whatever, I don't want to think about it. But I looked at her address and how you can satellite look in. And so
one of the girls.
Sounds probably, I'm not psychotic at all. I promise you. It just happened. I'm just,
Just curious.
Just curious. It happens. There's nothing wrong with it.
Nothing wrong with being a little bit intrusive.
I would do the same thing.
I'm looking and it's like.
I always do.
Yeah, so I zoomed in and it was like fraternity and sorority houses, on the same block. And then I was able to piece together she did say she lived with, more than the normal amount of roommates.
Okay.
Right? So so she probably lived in a sorority house. And yeah, looking at it, I'm like, well, shit. That's something that I probably needed to know.
Yeah.
Because I can tailor, as much as I can tailor my conversation to this is probably what you're gonna get. This is gonna seem insane. You're basically still living a college life, and now you're going to go be with a man that's taking care of a 5-year-old. That's a lot.
Do you know if she's still in school or just living that lifestyle?
I don't think you can't live in a sorority house if you're not still in school. So in Pfeiffer's defense, she's not living in a sorority house. I think she just has maybe roommates that were friends from a sorority. But I don't think she's still in school. She's graduated.
Okay.
Yeah, she's not still in school.
Okay.
I know that. So yeah.
Okay.
And were there ever conversations about you going to stay with her and visit her in Seattle?
Yeah. When she was in Dallas, we talked about me coming and visiting, and she just, was pretty, adamant, hey, I'd rather us get a hotel and me not stay with her. In which I wasn't, I'm 43 at the time, 44. I'm like, yeah, I'm a grown man. I'm not going to burden your roommates. I get it. I want to be totally respectful of their space as well. So I'll make sure that we're good and I'll get us a place. So she had, some reservations. I probably should have asked deeper questions then. Okay, I get it. And I'll definitely make sure that that's taken care of and everyone's happy with, and I don't want to inconvenience them. But the fact that you're randomly bringing it up, is there something else that you're thinking about deeper? And I feel like that was just, a part of it, the list of things that were probably just racing through our mind.
How long did you guys date for post-filming?
A month.
A month.
It was a month.
Okay.
Yeah, so yeah, she came to Dallas about a week and a half later for my birthday. And things were great. We had a great time with some of my friends and family. And she met my mom and my mom's husband as well.
Did she ever have a chance to meet your kids?
No. For me, the way I was looking at that the next 3 months, even some of my friends, my friends had questions too. I don't want to just sound like it's totally on Pfeiffer. It was definitely question marks as to how this looks. And I just told them, let's just see what the next 3 months looks like. Because that was living in a bubble. Now we live across the country. And so this is a whole new phase of dating that we're about to go through and experience and see, do we like talking on the phone? Do we like FaceTiming? All those things, do we stay connected that way? Or are we just seeing each other once a month? Or, it was a lot that was unanswered that I wanted to see before ever going down that path. And for me, meeting my kids is, I always allow the mothers first. Hey, we'll sit down and have a conversation with the person I'm dating, just out of respect for you. And that's always worked. I haven't had people meet. My oldest has met, 2 girlfriends. Dominic, he hasn't. He's met one. And so I'm extremely protective of that because as Andrew said earlier, I don't want to set, you know,
Yeah.
that culture like in our household that, yeah, dad's with this lady and okay, she's gone and here's another one. So
During filming, when you met her parents, she seemed visibly nervous. She was very uncomfortable, very anxious. You know, tried to scoot her close to you, console her. She actually
Cringe.
scooted further away from you.
Get away from me, bro.
Grounded.
Get away from me. Yeah.
What were your feelings then, and watching it back, are they the same or have they changed?
Well, I mean, watching it back because I was there with her and I know what the night before looked like and how nervous she was. And I always try to take into consideration my age and I know that I'm feeling, okay, she's 23 years old, right? And her relationship with her parents is a lot different than my relationship with my parents, right? So I understand the concerns. You're still getting to know me and trying to have that conversation and you may have unanswered things about just your life that you may not have talked to your parents about at that age, right? So you're going to present this new relationship. How are my parents going to receive it? What are they going to say to him? You know, and how is it going to influence me? Because I think at that age, you're probably still, you know, depending on the circumstance of growing up, you're probably still pretty connected and influenced by your parents to a certain degree. So I think that she may have had some concerns there.
You know, every relationship that ends doesn't necessarily mean it wasn't beneficial to us or that we couldn't learn something from it. And I thought it was really interesting watching it back. Pfeiffer referenced multiple times previous relationships and toxic boyfriends. From what we've learned of you, Derrick, you seem like a pretty solid stand-up guy.
Thank you.
And I'm just curious, as you reflect on a relationship that didn't work out, what role do you feel like Pfeiffer played in your life and what did you learn from that relationship?
Right. I completely agree. I think that, as Jorge said, every relationship, it's not that it's a bad relationship, it's a learning experience. I'm so grateful and appreciative for that relationship. I have so much respect for Pfeiffer. She's aged beyond her years. And that's probably the only time I can say honestly in my life that I've had a breakup that wasn't toxic. Like it wasn't a problem. It was understanding on my part. I've always felt that her heart is pure and I know that it is. So I don't think that this was something, it didn't come from a place of like she was hiding it. It was like, this is just the way it is. She can't deal with it anymore.
Yeah.
And knowing her heart, I wasn't going to push her in any direction. I just wanted to be respectful of that. But our relationship, like I learned so much as far as being open. I don't think that I've been open in probably like that in probably like a decade
Okay.
before. And, you know, I came into the experience wanting to be open to finding my person and knowing that it may not look like, you know, what I typically date. And because obviously that wasn't working. So she was so different from me, you know, and I saw, like, I'm really big on a person's heart and their intentions, and they were just so pure. You know, our conversations, if there was something that she wasn't comfortable with, she had one time when it was off camera, the conversation about her moving when she was extremely uncomfortable about it, and it was before the dinner with you guys. We had a really rough go for about 2 or 3 hours, which was crazy because it was like smooth sailing. Guys like always made fun of us because it was like y'all are living in this bubble inside of a bubble, like y'all don't have any problems. So it was getting close to the end, and now we have this problem, and I'm sitting in the bathroom for like 45 minutes, and she's in the other room, and we're not talking, and I'm like, what the fuck's going on? Like and then I go to the weight room, and Logan sees me, and he's like halfway happy that I actually have a problem. He's like, finally, bro, you got a problem. Like I'm like just sitting there. Literally.
Chris was napping.
Makeup bag.
Chris was napping.
Stay to sleep.
But I would say a good or a bad trait that I've had in the past when that happens, I'll shut down a little bit. And it takes me some time and I'll walk away. I was so proud of her, her maturity. I came back into the apartment. She said, hey, can we sit down and talk? And she was so vulnerable and open. She was like, look, I want to move to Dallas. I'm going to move to Dallas. I'm just scared. Like, that's what's going on.
Yeah.
And so, you know, that was such a powerful moment for me to take, like, damn, like, you know, at her age, She took control of that situation, an area that I've been weak. She's able to help me get through.
I'm really curious. You guys clearly had a great connection. I think the chemistry was off the charts. Clearly, you're talking about moments that Pfeiffer showed this maturity that surprised you. And I think when, again, you're the older person, you're trying not to like quiz the person about like how mature they are or aren't. And yet Pfeiffer showed you these moments of maturity. And again, this is not like a rip on Pfeiffer, but I think it sounds like you came to learn that like once she got outside of this bubble and got back to her life, she maybe realized that, like, you know what, age is playing a role in why this relationship can't work out. I'm not ready for what Derrick has or his lifestyle.
Yeah, I agree. I think when you're in the bubble, like, I think she was completely ingrained in the experience. And even when I first brought up my kids, like the night before, I was like freaking out to talk about it. Because for me, I know the severity of it, right?
Yeah.
That's so serious. And she took it so easy. So it was like maybe she was going with the flow because she hasn't been in that situation before, right? So it was like, yeah, it's cool. We'll figure it out. Yes, it's cool. But for me, those steps were like monumental. Like I'm like, this is huge. And as far as if we can continue or, we decide like this does not work for me, then I was like I was grateful for the way that she took like the things that are flawed about me or the responsibilities that I have and all that in that moment. But I think getting back home, she had those influences and that's fair, right? She's 23 years old. You're going to be influenced by your circle that you're around.
Are you more, less likely, or about the same, your willingness to date someone younger than you?
No, I would say I'm about the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
If, let's say you meet someone, they're younger than you, I'm curious how going forward will you protect yourself and your heart from the same thing ending up? Because a lot of people have bad partners. Pfeiffer talked about a bad ex. And it wouldn't be surprising to me that you meet someone younger than you and they're like, oh, this Derrick, he's a great guy. There's a lot of reasons why you seem appealing, but how will you protect yourself from meeting someone like Pfeiffer, which again, no disrespect, talks about when she gets older, like you seem like a great guy, but maybe just isn't in the place in her life to actually meet you where you're at.
I think having deeper conversations, like some of those things that I may have like touched on, and whereas Pfeiffer was like, I don't really want to go there, but I think that's a big part of it. Like, you know what? I'm gonna have to make you uncomfortable right now because this is actually where I'm at in life. And not that you have to have the perfect response, but I need you to get the entire picture, right? And see how and see what the response is and see what the outcome is from there. And I think that's probably an area that I could say, I could improve on.
Yeah.
From that relationship.
It's tough, yeah, because there was that moment where you guys were talking about moving,
Right.
And I've said this many times, as I've gotten older, I realized that my 20s were me living up to the expectations I had when I was like a teenager, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, this is how I had planned, this is what I had planned. And I remember hearing Pfeiffer saying things like, I made this promise to myself, I
Yeah.
promised this to myself. And you're on the other end being like, listen, we'll just figure it out as we go.
Yeah.
Looking back, do you see that as a sign of maybe this kind of the gap between your maturity levels?
Yes, I do. On the front end, when she explained like that she moved away for college, she went back home for a while and then moved again. So I took it or moved across the country to go to finish up school in Seattle. I took that as, what, she's had these experiences and she's kind of been on her own. So she does understand that it can be rocky, but you can still make it, right? And in that moment when she had that conversation, I was like, trying to get her to lean on her previous experiences, right? Because I know that I can't push mine on her and say, hey, it's just going to be all right. It's just going to be all right. Just trust me. I was just, trying to convey like, look, you've been down this road before. Yes, it looks very different, but you've been uncomfortable. And it doesn't mean that you can't grow and it doesn't mean that we can't grow.
What does your dating life look like today?
I'm single. I took some time and I mean, like I said, I put a lot into that, into the entire experience. It just took a lot for me to go through it. And being that open for me is just not that easy to just turn around and do that again. So I would much rather take my time,
Okay.
And make sure that I'm ready so I can show up for a person, if I'm going to truly try to date again.
Okay, but are the DMs open?
The DMs are open.
Okay.
I'm open to date.
Was there any moment where you looked back at maybe some of the other women who were at the retreat and thought maybe I should like rekindle with someone else. Maybe I should follow up with the connection that I had that I didn't see all the way through. Everyone's clearing their throat.
What? I didn't do anything. What did you call?
Yeah.
Huh?
Should I ask y'all?
There's something going on back.
Andrew's like
No.
bright red.
I was clearing my throat.
I didn't think Jorge was going to start coughing.
I cleared my throat. And first of all, Derrick is just a great guy. Now, see how I did that? You like that? You're outstanding.
Well, first of all, I mean, if you're broken up with someone, you're certainly allowed to visit past connections.
All right. So who's the connections? We all want to know.
He doesn't have.
Who?
I don't have connections.
Can we let Derrick answer?
Yes,
Yeah,
crazy.
whose DMs was DM you? What's up?
Did I have any previous connections?
Well, I just was curious if maybe you circled back.
From the show? No,
From the
not,
show.
I mean, like in Whistler. In Whistler, did I develop
Yes.
any? I didn't develop any connections in Whistler.
Is there anyone from the show that you went on any,
God,
this is any dates
crazy.
with or conversations? It's not a crime, by the way.
Got it. Say less.
Everyone loves to keep in touch.
Yeah, yeah.
Really
Now you have to
good.
answer.
Yeah, exactly.
I think everyone chats
thank
in the
you,
group
Libby.
chat.
Exactly.
Sometimes we text each other.
Exactly.
No one kept in touch with me.
Exactly.
But I'm with you guys.
Wow. Exactly.
All right.
Stayed in touch with a few people.
And that's
And
what I'd have
before
been
we move
saying.
on, obviously with Pfeiffer not being here, it seems like you got to know Pfeiffer a little bit. Is there anything we need to say or offer on Pfeiffer's behalf before we move on?
I mean, I think Pfeiffer is an amazing girl. I think my heart was, it was a heart throb seeing their story. Like, I think that they're both so well-spoken and articulate. And I don't know, when I see it, I'm like, oh my gosh, we were rooting for you. But I honestly do really resonate with Pfeiffer's experience back home, because I think something people may not think about is that it's an incredibly unrelatable experience to come home and say that you met this guy who lives in another state and he has 2 kids and he's older than me and whatever. And I am somebody who also takes my friends' opinions very seriously. And it's really hard, honestly, to tell people about the situation that you're in, but you kind of have to keep it under wraps and whatever. And frankly, it does feel a little bit delusional when your friends haven't met the person and you really don't have the perfect chance to prove yourself or your relationship, and they haven't even seen it play out on TV. They don't know what your experience was. So I understand that that can be a really hard thing to bring back home. And if you let others' opinions get to you, or you really sit around and ruminate about what it is you did, it can be a bit of a trip.
I'm curious, Andrew, how'd you deal with that? Because like on one side, I can't totally get what Libby's saying, but it's kind of like, all right, man, I'm dating someone younger. I want to know that she can like not be listening to people. Like I want her to do what she wants to do. How did you guys strike that balance between like wanting to respect her friendships, but at the same time want to make sure that she was making decisions for herself and feeling like that was happening?
Well, I mean, if you watch the show, Libby's very outspoken. You know, I don't think she's someone that lets, people's opinions get to her so much. So, and I met Nina and them again. Like we've hung out since then. So I think they saw our relationship. They saw how we were together, not just the little bit that they saw on the show. And they saw that we were, very compatible. They saw the love that we had for each other. As a father, I think that's what I would want to see if there was an age difference, with one of my daughters dating someone. I'd want to see that person consistently show up, for my daughter and, see what that relationship looks like. And I think as they've seen it, they've been very accepting of it.
Let's take a quick break and then we'll be right back to get into it with the rest of the couples. Don't go away.
91% of dog parents say their pup is an important member of the family, and 40% would even save a dog over a human stranger. Safe to say, people are obsessed with their dogs. And Natalie and I are no different. We're absolutely obsessed with our dogs, Jeff and Steve, and we want to do what's always best for them. And that's why we feel great about feeding them Ollie. Ollie's fresh recipes are developed by real chefs and backed by vet nutritionists. They're obsessed with making the best meals with the highest quality ingredients. Listen, we know how important it is. What we put in our body affects our overall health, and your dogs are no different. And the peace of mind that Natalie and I feel when we feed them Ollie is something you just can't beat. From the moment you start your subscription, everything is tailored to your pup. The meals are perfectly portioned, and you get a pup tainer and scoop for easy storage and serving. With Ollie, you don't just get food. Through their app, you can actually check in on your dog's health with real vets. Just by uploading a picture, their team can check in on your dog's weight, digestion, teeth, and coat because they're obsessed with making sure your pup is healthy as it can be. That is peace of mind you can't beat. We're always checking in on our dogs and making sure their health is where it needs to be. Jeff and Steve love the beef and sweet potatoes. It's packed with protein, vitamins, and minerals. Get ready for both you and your pup to be obsessed. Head to ollie.com/VIALL. That is OLLIE.com/VIALL. Tell them about your dog and use our code VIALL to get 60% off your welcome kit when you subscribe today. Plus, they offer an obsession guarantee. If you're not completely obsessed, you'll get your money back. Again, that's OLLIE.com/VIALL and enter code VIALL to get 60% off your first box. Ollie, feed the obsession. Here's something a lot of homeowners don't realize until it's too late. Home insurance doesn't cover everything. Insurance helps you with things like fires or floods, but what about everyday home system and appliance breakdowns from normal wear and tear? That's where a home warranty from American Home Shield comes in. In fact, homeowners were 25 times more likely to use a home warranty than home insurance. And once you own a home, that makes sense because breakdowns are inevitable. American Home Shield offers home warranty plans that cover parts of home systems like HVAC, plumbing, and electrical, plus kitchen and laundry appliances, and if a covered item can't be repaired, they'll replace it. They even offer video chat as a benefit to select plans where you can connect with a live repair expert to help assess and even fix an issue over the phone. Listeners can get 20% off select plans today. Just visit ahs.com/viallfiles to sign up. See ahs.com/contracts for coverage details, including service fees, limitations, and exclusions. And we're back to the Age of Attraction Season 1 reunion. And it's time to get into Theresa and John.
Woo! Can't wait.
Theresa and John, also known as Age of Attraction's Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, minus the royal drama, were immediately smitten with each other. But could their fairy tale romance survive a 27-year age gap? And Theresa's fear of outside judgment? Let's pop the bubble and ask. Well, I want to start with you, Theresa.
Okay.
Obviously, I think I speak for everyone when we were all rooting for you, as Tyra Banks famously said. The audience loves you guys. I think we're all very sad and heartbroken to hear that you guys aren't together. Following that very beautiful ceremony at the top of the mountain, let's walk us through kind of like what happened next in your relationship.
So, we left Vancouver and we went to Chicago. He came to my hometown, met a couple of my friends, stayed with me for a couple days. We had a great time. There were, no issues. Everything was great. It was very sad to see him leave. And then we went and we met up in New York a couple weeks later. And that was sort of like the first time that we really
went to Naples first.
Oh, you're right. Sorry, my bad. Yeah, we spent 4th of July in Florida. Again, met a couple of my friends. Everything was great. He came more or less to me. And yeah, we had a great time. Everything was wonderful. No cracks in anything. And then we went to New York. And it was then that things really started to weigh on me, I guess. And there were some outside influences. One, the show had kind of broken with the Daily Mail, and there were some negative things, and I started getting anxious. And the other thing was we went to get drinks with his sister and another one of our cast members, and they really made me feel very uncomfortable about my age. God, I didn't expect to get emotional.
Who made you feel uncomfortable? His sister and the other cast member?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just felt like they were really sort of like focusing on their ages, and I felt really kind of like left out of conversations. It almost felt like purposeful in some ways, that like they were really trying to like make me feel old. And I tried to keep my cool, and I just couldn't handle it. So we were supposed to go out to dinner, and I actually like felt sick. So I went back to the hotel, and that was when I really like broke down. And I had texted John and told him, I was really upset and everything. And, his initial response was, very supportive, and that we were going to talk when he got back. And I just kind of tumbleweeded in my feelings. And I just couldn't get my head back to where it was before. And the next morning, he and I tried to have a conversation, and I tried to, I was very emotional and tried to express what was going on inside of me. And I just didn't feel like John could give me the support that I needed. Like, it was, and no offense, but like, he just didn't have any words. And I was like sitting there just like trying to explain where I was at, and it was like silence. And
Do you
I just was
remember
like,
some of the things you were trying to explain and how you were trying to
yeah,
explain
I mean,
it?
I was basically reliving what had happened the night before. And I was saying, like, this is just too hard. I was just dying for some support, some like reassurance of some sort, and I didn't get any. And so I was like, well, you have nothing to say, so I'm going to go. And I went for like a walk around Manhattan, and then he left and went to his sister's. And that was like the first really bad part of the breakup.
I'm sure, I'd love to hear your point of view of that story.
We're spot on.
Okay.
Exactly what happened.
Do you wish you would have handled it differently? Like, as you reflect back on that moment, what would you have done different if you could?
I think during the show, I said 1,000,000 times and 2,000,000 times, the age isn't an issue unless we make it an issue.
Sure.
And she, and I'll speak for you, felt uncomfortable being in public and the people looking at us differently.
That wasn't it at all. I never felt like that. I never felt like walking down the street, like going out to dinner, like our 2 trips prior that we had taken. And even like when we first got to Manhattan, we went to lunch, I felt like very confident being next to you. Did not feel like anybody was looking at us. I said that like a few times. I was like, I don't think anybody like looks at us weird. Like, I feel like we look really good together. And I felt super confident in that. I think what it really was, and we did have a conversation after that ceremony on the mountaintop, that we were going to have these kinds of issues. And we promised each other that we were going to like really be there and support each other. And that was what I was looking for. And I just didn't know why it felt like it had changed for you. And I don't know why, but I felt like the guy who I had seen in Naples, who like literally held me and was like, you tell me what you need, was gone. I didn't know where that went, but it wasn't there anymore.
So are you saying you felt like she was making the age an issue, and that's why you had nothing to say?
That's what you told me.
What do you mean?
That's what you said. You didn't feel comfortable with Catherine and my sister, and you felt, and I'll spare some words, you didn't feel good with us together. I went back to the hotel. We went to sleep. I woke up the next morning, and you just said, I can't do this anymore.
Well, I said a lot more than that.
Yeah.
But
Listen, I'll keep some details out, but
I think you just went blank. I don't think you really like even could hear me.
No, I heard you.
But you didn't say anything. You
I was
literally
processing
were
everything.
quiet. And I was sitting there waiting for you to respond, and you had no response.
I think we discussed age so many times that you deserve to be comfortable with who you're with, and I deserve the person I'm with to be comfortable with me. But I think it was just going out in public more often, and each time we got together, it was a question. And Naples was fun, Chicago was perfect, New York was perfect the first half, and you deserve to be with someone you're 100% comfortable in your skin with. And
I know that. And I was comfortable with you. I was asking for what it was that we had promised to each other.
What I feel like I just heard was you said that age wouldn't be a factor unless the two of you made it a factor. And then I'm hearing that at dinner you're sitting with this castmate and your sister kind of making age a factor.
I mean, she deserves to feel, I'm sorry, and I don't know what my sister was hinting at. I don't know what Catherine was hinting at. That's how you felt. Unfortunately, it's yours and I's relationship. So it doesn't matter what my sister thinks. It doesn't matter what Catherine thinks.
So, well, interesting enough, let's just, for the sake of assumption, assume that maybe Theresa was projecting or reading it a certain way, whatever, but that's how she felt. And what I'm hearing from Theresa is that she needed her man, her partner, to hear her out, validate her, talk her through it. And I'm almost hearing from you is this like, I'm done talking about our age. and I got nothing more to say, and you kind of shut down. You know, it's like it's one thing to date in a bubble, but you guys are outside of a bubble, and you were going to face some certain realities. And Theresa was trying to communicate to you, hey, like, I need this from you. I need to talk to you. And it didn't seem like you were having it.
I think the beauty of a relationship is two people that pick each other every day, and they go through those fights, and you're waking up next to the person. Oh, they're picking me, I'm picking them. And I guess we got to a point where we just didn't pick each other. And was that me? Was that us? Was that her? It didn't work out. But I think, I think I have to look at myself, and maybe I was tired of the age becoming a factor. How do we look in public? How do you feel?
It was the first time it had become a factor.
Leah, you seem...
I'm just curious because like his story don't add up, and she's telling her truth, so it's just very interesting. You know what I'm saying?
Why is my story not add up?
For what she's saying, for her experience, because you're downplaying everything that she's saying, and I'm just trying to understand your side, because you're like, that didn't happen. You're like, but she's literally saying how she was feeling at the time, and I'm just trying to it's just so interesting.
I don't think he's downplaying it at all. I think he's taking accountability for it. I don't understand. I mean, to me, if he has a feeling, I can understand the age factor. He may have gotten warm with it. I don't get in their relationship because I think that they had a beautiful relationship, but I don't think that he's ducking and dodging anything. I think he's talking about it straight up.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's acknowledging that things don't work out, but it doesn't feel like he's acknowledging, I guess, this conversation, and which is fine if you don't want to, but it's just more, if you guys don't get back together, well, we'll be sad. But, you know, again, I hope that we all learn a little bit about ourselves and our relationships. And again, I think what I hope, maybe if you're open to it, regardless of what the topic was, it sounds like age was the topic, but like, you're acknowledging that you just shut down, you know, emotionally. And like, yeah, I totally agree with you. Every day you have to show up and you got to choose each other, which is real, but it also can kind of be a cliche when you're just saying it. But in this moment, it sounds like you didn't show up for Theresa. Like, you didn't pick her in that moment by saying, how can I be there for you?
Right.
It sounds like you quit, but maybe
that's
I'm
a
wrong.
breakup, no?
So you're just,
so you broke up with me, essentially.
So you're acknowledging in that moment you were
Well, if you're
quit?
saying that that's what it was, that's your action was equal to a breakup. Well, what are you saying then? What?
Was that ultimately what caused the breakup? Was that
That was
he didn't show
the
up in that
initial
moment?
big swipe, yeah.
I don't deserve to date someone who texts me, I feel disgusting with you.
I never said that. I never said that.
Did you take that as something about yourself?
She deserves to be comfortable with who you're with.
I said I was disgusted with myself.
That's terrible. I wouldn't want to date someone who feels like that.
Well, I was looking for you to say, why do you feel this way? And like, let me help you get through this. I mean, that's what relationships are about. Like, you do pick each other every day, but it doesn't mean you don't have conflict. And so if you have a conflict, does that mean, oh, I'm not picking you today? No, it means you work through it.
We had conflict before that. We had conflict with communication on the phone, and I said, tell me what you need. And we talked over the
'cause you
phone.
would disappear.
What does that mean, he would disappear?
Like, I would be texting him and I wouldn't hear back from him for hours.
Did your phone die, or?
Well, if that's what
Why
you're
wouldn't
referring
he?
to, that one time that I was like, I am not happy with the way that, like, I'm texting you, you're telling me, like, you're right there, and yet I don't hear back from you. And I didn't know what was going on. It's like a Friday night.
I mean, this is a lose-lose situation. It's.
You brought it up, so.
Speak your truth, bro.
Yeah, I'm not a big texter. When we're in a long-distance relationship, we called,
Well,
we
then there's a
FaceTime.
problem, obviously.
But I think you deserve to be with someone you're comfortable with.
So do you. So does everybody on
You
this
text
earth.
me saying that you felt disgusting that night. We went back to the hotel. I feel bad in that. If I'm your boyfriend and you feel disgusting going out with me, that's no fun for either of us. You know, you deserve.
I agree with you.
So
Yeah, but I
Then
mean,
you
she
work
just said,
through it.
I don't want me to chime in, but like,
Go ahead. Sorry, we're having an argument.
no,
on
that's fine. And
camera.
I honestly, again, appreciate you guys being honest,
Yeah.
but I'm trying to hear both of you. You know, we've been in fights. You know, sometimes she might say something where I don't agree, or she might talk about how she's feeling right now and how I might make her feel. But like, it really sounds like whatever she said, you just shut down, and I'm just like wondering why.
Maybe I was over it.
Okay.
Was it the culmination of certain things?
Is a lack of response always shutting down, though? I mean, someone who already struggles speaking and being, like, you've talked about that a lot. I'm not trying to defend anyone, but is that necessarily shutting down, not necessarily knowing what to answer in that moment? And then now this is different. This is a few months later, but in that moment, you could always have that conversation later. It's hard. I'm
Yeah,
just
you
trying to see
could
from the
if you
outside.
say, let's have this
Right?
conversation
Like, how
later.
difficult is that to have a response there as well?
No question. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with saying, you know what, I need some time to like think about this
Sure.
and let's talk in another
Yeah,
hour.
I hear you.
That didn't happen.
We filmed a show. That show was centered around age differences. As you all know, you got asked that question a lot. It was the focus of the show. And unless you guys disagree, it's not Theresa saying post-show, this was one of the first times you felt whatever you felt and brought this to John's attention. And you're saying in that moment, you were over it.
I mean, we had discussions before. There was stuff said over text that I didn't appreciate about.
Like what?
You felt bad stealing my youth.
That was that night that we had that
No,
conversation.
it was beforehand. I don't really feel comfortable like airing this out.
Okay, well, that's why we're here.
Well, it sounds like the two of you were able to at some point reconnect if this was just the first swipe at a breakup. So what were the following days like after this?
Do you want to talk?
You can talk.
Okay, so that morning after I took my walk and I had a clear head, I did contact John and I was like, I'm really sorry for my feeling overwhelmed. And, I apologized and we talked a little bit about like what we were doing that day. The next morning, he came back to the hotel and we had breakfast. We had a great conversation. We went on a walk. He was leaving that day. I was staying in New York. We gave each other a hug and a kiss goodbye, like a real kiss, not on the cheek. And we went our separate ways. And then I thought we were doing good. We were back. And it didn't turn out to be that way. Then that next week, we again had like some bad communication issues. I brought up something that I was curious about with regard to an Instagram thing and didn't hear from him.
What Instagram thing?
I'd just rather not mention it because I don't think it's relevant. But it was just something that I had seen that I was like, what is this? And I reached out to John and he did not reply for like an hour. And then I got like 3 words and that was it. And so I called, didn't pick up, nothing. And then the next day I write him again and he totally ghosts me. And I didn't talk to him for weeks.
What was his 3-word response?
It was something like, don't worry about it. Very vague.
John, is there anything you would like to clear up in this moment?
Was that a growl?
Use your voice. Say something. Speak.
Yeah.
Speak on
Like
it.
it sounds. Did you think you were in a relationship at that point?
No.
Okay.
When was this? And what month are we
And
talking
what was
about?
it?
That's, I mean, you
what
got to
was it
speak
about,
on it.
John?
man.
Speak your truth.
Yeah.
Yeah, explain. I would love to hear.
You got pretty nasty with me.
After that, yeah,
You got pretty nasty with me.
I did.
And I want to be totally respectful and I want to support you through this journey. And maybe I didn't communicate with you in the moment when you needed it, but I want to support you now. That being said, with some of the communication we had post-breakup, if we were not in this bubble and we didn't have to support each other right now, which I do want to support you, with the way you communicated with me and the things you said, I don't think we would ever speak again.
Okay. I mean, I was very frustrated when I left you that voice memo. I said some things that I regret, and I said that later. But that is sometimes what happens when you are ghosted.
We were broken up. And
I didn't think we were.
Then I apologize.
Because we never really declared that we were broken up, and we had continued to talk. And
It's
when
kind
we
of
said goodbye to
semantics.
each
At the
other,
end of the day, we're all adults, and I'm just like, did you expect a response from whatever question you asked?
Yeah. And it was actually me trying to, in some ways, protect you, because I saw some things that I was like, I don't think you're going to want, out there.
No comment.
Jorge, is there anything?
I'm not in the business of speaking into people's relationships. I don't think that John is speaking his authentic truth, because I think he's protecting Theresa, which I respect. And so if this man's going to choose to protect her, I'm all for it, because I'm all about protecting relationships, and I understand it. But I think that
that's so not fair. First of all, you're like gaslighting a little bit here,
I'm not gaslighting
because
anyone, Theresa.
there's nothing I need protection of. I take full responsibility for what it was that I said in that
John
voice memo.
just said,
and if you
"I'm
want to play
protecting
it
you."
and you want
John
to
said
air
that.
all of our dirty laundry, let's do it.
I don't. Once again, you
I
asked me a
was
question,
being just
right?
as respectful to him
ask
as
me a
he's claiming to be to me, with protecting me and supporting me. So, I mean, I'm holding back some information. He's, saying that he is protecting me by maybe not saying that I was nasty in that voice memo. I don't know.
I mean, listen, every healthy couple has had to apologize. Hey, I'm sorry I've been an asshole. I'm sorry I've been whatever. But I think what we're talking about here is how you guys communicated or didn't communicate. And so, like, you seem like a great guy, and the guy I got to know filming, like, I really enjoyed my time. And just watching it back, you were always showing up for Theresa. You seemed like this really empathetic, really understanding guy. The guy sitting here right now, I'm not getting that same energy. I'm getting like, I was over it, whatever. And what am I missing?
I just.
You don't want to say anything?
I don't know. No.
I mean, you guys fell in love on TV.
Yeah, and
I
I will 1,000% say, like, John is an amazing guy. I mean, we had our issues, and there were things, and that was the demise of the relationship. And like, yeah, we're getting emotional and a little heated here, but at the end of the day, like, I thought you were an amazing guy, man, whatever, on the show. I still think you are. I just think our communication fell apart. I don't really know what happened, but my only thing that I would say is that, like, you got to learn how to communicate better. I don't know. I mean, and I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I really care about you. I always have over this last 9 months. So, I'm not here to like trash you. I'm not here to like dig up bad stuff. But I think that you are very closed off right now. And I think when we were on the show and we were together, you were very open, you're very comfortable. And that's why we flowed so well. And I don't know. That's just my take.
Yeah, I'll admit that, yeah, maybe I did shut down at the hotel. I did. And did you deserve a better communication? 100%. But I think in that moment, if we're being truthful with each other, I was probably just fed up with age being an issue, with you not feeling comfortable together. I don't want to date someone who feels gross next to me. And that text hurt. I was out with my sister. We had a reservation for 3, her favorite restaurant. That text hurt me because you deserve to feel comfortable with whoever you're dating.
No, I agree.
And
yeah.
I just shut down. Yeah, I did. And I didn't communicate. And the lines were very blurry after that walk. After breakfast the next morning, they were very blurry. And hindsight's 2020. If I wish I could go back and say, no, we're not doing this. We need some space, and just shut it down. Maybe we rekindle in a couple weeks, but I didn't. And we didn't. And that the lines it was a little gray. And I do regret that.
All right. Well, I appreciate that.
Do you think age played a role in your guys' demise?
Yes.
In what way?
I just think that we didn't have the communication skills that we needed. And I think the distance definitely had a huge part in it, because, when you live across the country from each other, you can't just be like, let's go grab coffee and go for a walk and like talk through this or whatever. Like, it's telephone. And as he said, he doesn't like to text. So if you don't have those basic communication skills, like what do you have?
What did you learn about yourself in this process, John?
Funny, I thought I could communicate in the bubble, and I feel like Theresa allowed me to have extremely hard conversations. I would consider myself anxiously attached, and that's something I'm working on. And in the bubble, when the kids came, she kind of shut down and went in her, separate part of the house. And I was like chasing after. I was like, what's wrong? What can I do for you? And she's like, John, just let me have my space. Like, I'm fine. The kids are coming. I just need my space. And it made me think, fuck, nothing's wrong with us. I'm just, Theresa's gone, and that's not healthy. She needs her space. And I remember she was on the stove, and I was like, how can I be here for you right now? And she said, I just need my space. And that was the first time I was allowed to have a really hard and uncomfortable conversation, because it was me. I was anxiously attached. I thought I did something wrong. She was in the bathroom throwing up, and I text, she was like, just leave me alone. And nothing's wrong with our relationship in that moment. I just need to learn to be, confident in what we had. And I've learned that. I know I'm anxiously attached, and she allowed me to have hard conversations. Did I fail later on? Yeah. It definitely wasn't the best communication, but in the experience, she made me a lot better. Selfishly, I can thank her for that.
Did that attachment style carry on throughout after filming?
Yeah, I mean, and not to be the guy that talks about baseball all the time, and his glory years, baseball was ripped away from me, so I've taken that into relationships, and it's not healthy. I think our breakdown was communication, and I think, not to make excuses, it's easier when you're living with each other in the bubble. It's easier if you live in the same city. I think that's just common sense. I'm proud of us for taking a really realistic approach to it. I did, at least, I think, and I'm not going to speak for her. But yeah, I think communication was a breakdown.
I'm curious, just reflecting on this relationship, how will you work on your attachment style, or whatever it is that causes you to shut down when things get difficult?
Just be confident in what the relationship you built with that person. Be secure, and I think I was secure in Vancouver and in Whistler with her.
That was kind of like the honeymoon, It's
Yeah,
just like
no, totally.
what I'm hearing is It was fun, it was great, there was this huge chemistry, but when shit hit the fan, you cut and run.
Well, shit hit the fan like a couple weeks before New York.
Whenever.
No, I know. We had some conversations that I didn't like over the phone, and I was like, we're going to talk about this in person. And then we went to New York, and it was.
Did you talk about those things in person in New York, or did they kind of just be brushed under the rug?
You text me that you felt bad when we were away, and you wanted me to see other people. You felt
No,
that.
I asked you if you wanted to, and if you
I
did, I said, please just be honest with me.
And I didn't appreciate that, because it's not something I do in a relationship. It's not something.
Well, I was just kind of giving you sort of an opening or an opportunity to be, because we didn't have great communication. Again, like, you don't like to text. Our phone calls were very far and few between. I felt like there was this distance that was growing. And so I was like, maybe he wants to start dating other people. And so I was like, let me just throw this out there and see how his response was. And you were like, no, absolutely not. And I didn't realize that my asking you that question would have made you upset. You didn't tell that to me. So, I was literally just trying to fish to see what was going on, because I didn't know where we were at a variety of times after we left Naples, more or less, I think.
Theresa, I got to ask about your kids.
Yeah.
Obviously, they played a big role in your feelings and your decision. Did your kids ever find out how old John was?
They just found out.
They just found out?
Uh-huh.
Wow.
From watching the show back?
Pretty much, yeah.
And why did you never tell them?
Well, John and I had broken up, and, I just didn't, I was like, what's the point now? Like, nobody.
They weren't curious?
I mean, they're living their own lives.
Okay.
Like, my youngest was starting his first job in New York. Everybody's off doing their own thing. They're not like in mom's house, like, what's going on? So I just didn't bring it up to them. And then, on Monday with the trailer or the little poster thing with our ages under our feet, I was like, oh, look, Lauren, like they color corrected my skirt. And she's like, oh my God, he's 27. I was like, oh shit, like I forgot that was there. And then my son just texted me, I think it was this morning or yesterday, like, I saw the first episode and I'm really shocked at how young he is. And, my response was, he's a great guy. He, is a lot more mature than what his age is. Obviously, you met him, you got to know him. And, we're not together. So I guess you don't have to worry about that. And I was like concerned that his friends were embarrassed.
I'm looking back, obviously, I remember at that infamous dinner where Leah had something to say. That's okay. It's okay. But listen, like obviously it was all your guys' journey to do whatever you want. But I do think Leah, made a point in the sense that like, it's like if your kids play that much of a role and in your dating life, and it makes a lot of sense, wouldn't it make sense to tell them? Because what if they didn't accept how old John was at the time? And here you are falling in love with this guy. Wasn't that putting your relationship with John in a sticky position by not just being upfront with your kids, knowing that what they think means a great deal to you?
I don't mean to cut you off. I think it's a double standard with us versus the people with kids. Because what if someone falls in love and then a year later meets the kids and the kids don't like the partner? Same thing with us. We weren't allowed to go through our journey without her getting scrutinized for not revealing my age, but it's really the same thing. It's a big part of her life. It's a big part of a partner's life who has kids. So they get the pass of...
She has kids.
No, I know, but they get the pass...
People with younger kids who didn't come to
they get the pass on not introducing, the partner to the kids. But when she doesn't want to reveal my age, she gets shit for it.
Right. And to add on to that, what I was going to say is that, I totally respect I do too. Andrew and Derrick's choice not to introduce or whatever.
100%.
However, I also am in that situation, regardless of the fact that my kids are maybe 7, 8 years older than yours. They came to the show. Obviously, you could see how nervous that was for me because I do not introduce my kids to partners casually at all. And I was forced to do that. Okay. So I had to swallow that and deal with it. And so the fact that that was a huge thing for me, and then on top of it, I'm supposed to say, oh, by the way, he's 2 years younger than you, Richard. That was a lot for me.
No, I totally get it's a lot.
Totally
the question still stands.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, knowing that it does mean a lot to you what they think. Is there a world where we do throw a lot at you? Obviously, it was a very weird situation. I totally get that. But I'm just wondering, when you watch it back, is there a lane where it would have made sense just to kind of tell them? Because if they didn't accept him, what would have happened if they didn't accept him?
So the reason why, let me give you my train of thought. So again, to go back to, I met John, I had no idea how old he was, really was drawn to him, had feelings, blah, 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 right? Then I find out how old he is and I'm like, oh my God, okay, well, now I have this inner argument with myself. If my kids who are in their 20s had gotten to know John and learned what a great guy he is, just like I did, and saw how strong our relationship and saw all those good things, and then they found out and they were like, oof, I'd be like, yeah, but let's have this intellectual argument now. Does age matter? Because he's got all of these qualities, and I get it, but these are the reasons why I chose him, and I still chose him after I knew his age, and I want you guys to also think about that. And that's the conversation I would have had after they got to know him.
Theresa, when you met John's mom and sister, you left and they stayed and had a conversation. His sister said that you not telling them about having children was off-putting and weird. How did that feel to watch that back?
I mean, it hurt. John and I had a conversation prior to getting together with our, friends and family, and we both said that we were not going to say those things. We were not going to, it's roll back. We literally say we're not going to say ages and we're not going to talk about the kids. And so it was okay when I found out that he had said like, oh yeah, she's got kids or whatever. I just didn't think it was part of the plan. So that's part of the reason why I didn't say those things. But I mean, if I had known that we were wanting to do that, I would have done it.
Okay. Is there any love still there? Are you guys in love with each other? Is there
any chance at rekindling?
I mean, I think I will always really care about John, and I think what we had was real. But I think we've learned that it's just we're not compatible.
John, do you feel like age played a role in your relationship ending?
I don't think it was age. I think it was communication. I think I'll speak for myself. We all go to Jorge and we spent so much time together during this process. He's taught me a lot that experiences matter and communication is key, as cheesy as that sounds. So I think if I would have shown up and communicated clearly with her, we could have talked through those things. Was it me giving up? Yeah, I think that's you can paint that picture. I don't think it was just age that broke us up.
Okay.
Well, thank you for being so vulnerable and honest about y'all's relationship.
Leah and Chris's 15-year age gap relationship begged the question, can you turn a boy into a man?
And after a season of ups and downs, flight attendant Leah came to the realization that Chris might not be as worldly as she hoped. Leah, how did it feel knowing that you were ready to commit and he was not?
For me, it was shocking because everything that he told me to my face was that he was in it. So, because it's like what you don't see is that he actually met my sister-in-law and we had a great time. And he talked about how into me he was and all these things about getting to know me. And then we also meet his mom the next day. And then as you see what she said, you look so happy. You heard that, right?
Yeah,
me too.
Yeah.
And then in 2 seconds, he's like, I'm so stressed. I was like, you wasn't stressed 2 minutes ago.
Not 2 minutes, but yeah, I mean
it's
more like 45 minutes.
Oh,
but yeah.
You feel me though.
Yeah, I feel
So it's like, once again, it's just all like a facade. It's like some lies, because I didn't know he had all these feelings because he didn't tell me.
So watching that moment back with his mom, that caught you completely off guard?
Yeah. Because we were in a good place when I had walked away. Like me and his mom had a great chat. We did we not?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. I got but we did, and she understood. I think her biggest concern was like, I've lived alone. They're used to being around their family. I was like, I love hanging out, having parties. I was like, but does the door lock? You know what I mean? But that was like her biggest thing. And about children, and I was like, I've never pressed him for a relationship, children. I just was like, we can just date. Because I don't know from him, like from what he was always telling me, it's like he was in and he was having issues, but it never had to do with me. It was about the sleep, being sleep deprived, all these filming issues. You know what I mean? It was never like, Leah, it's you. You're the problem. He never said that to me. Because if he had, what you don't know is my best friend lost her mom 2 days into Vancouver. And I found that out. So for me, it's like, I never needed him. My girlfriend needed me. I could have bounced if I knew that's what he was pushing. You know what I mean? So for me, he was very selfish in that to not just tell me the truth. Because I remember I sat down with him. Like I felt him like pulling away about like maybe a few days in because the whole sleep stuff. And I was like, hey, I sat him down on the couch and I was like, do you like me? And he said, yes, it's not you. It's the situation. I was like, okay, then I'll ride with you. Because once I ask you once, I don't need to ask you 6 times, like, do you like me? Like, you say you like me, then I'll ride with you. And I won't talk bad about you, and I will keep it. Like, you heard me we had like a meeting with the crew about some stuff. And I was like, I fought for him. I was like, he's not sleeping. He doesn't go to the gym. He doesn't get to tan. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, it's like, that wasn't even my fight to fight.
Hi, Chris. So I'm just, watching it back, I am curious, for those watching or listening, during filming, as you guys know, we took your phones away. we really wanted you guys to focus on your relationships. You have this limited time, so the whole part of the experiment is to really lean in. And so I'm just curious, Chris, like during this phase, why it seemed like you weren't leaning into this experience. And last time I had a chance to talk with you, you talked about, I think your explanation was you wanted to give Leah a glimpse into what your life was like, but at the same time, couldn't you have just told her, hey, normally I work out, normally I tan, normally I nap, but like, why were you so reluctant to use this very limited time that you guys had to really lean in to see what your connection was about?
Yeah. So addressing that question more first before anything, talking about my routine, that was an excuse to not sneaking out of the apartment and going and doing what the other couples were doing because, you know, it seemed like the other couples were having a great time and having fun. I'm not trying to, sorry, that's not what I was saying. In other words, we're not going out of our way to spend more time with each other, which I hear you on that,
No,
right? Like we're
no,
not
you're
going.
digressing.
What do you mean by
That's
that?
not.
Meaning like instead of, hey, tonight we have kind of an off night and tomorrow we don't have much to do, instead of let's maybe go to a bar and catch something to eat, my choice was let's just stay in and maybe we watch something on TV and cook, you know, like, and I hear you with what you're trying to say, but that was my response to that about the whole routine. That's why that's why my response to you was, well, I guess I also told you, and this reality, like I felt like I was almost working at one point, right? Like trying to keep myself healthy and also struggling with the sleep. You remember when we were talking about that?
Yeah,
And I'm
because they casted you to be the gym guy. Yes, that's what you said. Correct.
Well, and that's not right, and that's not fair for you. So I hear you on that, but I don't think that it's fair to say that I wasn't
Wait, he
leaving.
said that they casted him to be the gym
I didn't
guy?
say. I don't remember saying that. But if I did, that's not what I don't remember saying that. But I don't think that matters.
It's okay.
I mean,
it doesn't
somebody's got to
matter.
do
They
bicycle
casted
curls,
you to
I
find
guess.
love.
I
It
don't
did
know.
matter.
I know, but I don't remember saying that. And regardless whether they cast me for that, obviously I'm there to find love. I hear you.
Okay,
But
so with that said, rest of the cast, do you think he was there to find love? Go ahead. If you think he was there to find love, go ahead and raise your hands.
What I will say, like, honestly, also, like, being in that experience, like, I also watching, like, the last finale episodes, you can clearly tell, like, Chris, like, you honestly didn't like Leah. Like, let's just keep it a buck. You didn't at all. And you never expressed that to her. All the things you told your mom, you never expressed that to her face, ever. And I think that was unfair. Like, Leah was literally there, like, so into you and literally in that experience with you. And you didn't like her, but you didn't say that to her.
I also think it's unfair especially from the inside, from everyone here, to say that when you saw how invested I was and you saw me on off days and you saw how, when you say I wasn't leaning into it, I was still there because I was leaning into it. We had a great time with Whistler. Obviously, you know the edit. There was not much shown there. We get into this, what seemed a little more out of the bubble, but we're still in a bubble. And 3-4 days in, I felt like I was over it at that point. And I was very...
Over what?
The whole thing, the whole experience. I was struggling with Leah. I think it was very clear how much we were struggling. I don't know how it's possible that anybody could say that I was like completely hiding that and showing that. I know that wouldn't show on TV, but there's no one here that didn't see me that Sunday and said, what's wrong, Chris? Not one person.
Well, what I'm hearing from you, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that when she would check in with you, you would blame it on the show, production,
well, okay,
the
so
weirdness of it all.
Let's get to that. So then the next Monday, we had a date that didn't show, was a shopping date. That's when the turn changed. We moved on Thursday into Vancouver. We had off day Sunday. This is 3 days into filming in Vancouver. So we have a date. That morning, I was told you need a voice for the first time. I was struggling. I didn't want to talk negative. I didn't want to do all that. That morning, that interview was not my best interview. I was crying through the interview. I'm really happy it didn't show. I wasn't feeling good. We go into, instead of being able to have a great conversation, we went into a shopping date. We get there. It's a boutique that, honestly, I don't think that she was into, because she was very clear about that. I'm not really, like, this isn't a place I would shop, right? Like this, which I'm glad we found something nice, but regardless.
I mean, that's my life, bro.
Cool. No,
yeah,
I know, but that's doesn't
and
matter.
I show up, you know?
I definitely showed up. I definitely showed up, because when I was there, we went through shopping, we went through dresses, and I was struggling at this point, and it was very clear I was struggling. And one of the few things she kept saying was like, well, you're living your best life out here. I'm not. We had an off day the day before, and we were on the pool, and I spent maybe an hour and a half by myself. She was struggling with a lot. And to be honest with you, I didn't want her to feel like I'm having a good time while she's struggling, but also needed you to have your space. That was the moment you were on the phone, right? And I was in the corner in the pool. It wasn't until the last 15 minutes that Andrew sat on the floor in the pool, in the corner, and said, dude, like, that's when we had that conversation. Hey, I know you're struggling. Everyone sees that you're struggling. you're going to get through this and you're going to be better for this. 5 minutes later, all the boys are sitting next to me. 10 minutes later, Leah walks up and she sees me having a great time laughing with the boys. Next day, we're at this date, and as she's trying on clothes, she's talking about how I'm living my best life, and I go in there, you know, kind of throwing shade, it kind of felt like. Anyway, we're walking out, and, you know, I was asked about, you know, who's paying for this whole thing from the outside perspective, and I was like, you know, if I ever take somebody on a date, I'm taking on a date, whether it's food, whether it's shopping, because this is me. And I felt like once I voiced to her, like, hey, this is me, whatever you want's fine, but just so you understand, you know, we're walking out, she's grabbing these clothes, and then she's like, oh, but we didn't even look at jewelry yet. After I know she's joking, but after she already told me she didn't like any of this jewelry, right? So it's like, it felt like she was not on my side at that point. It felt like no one was on my side when I'm clearly trying to lean into this at this point. I'm giving everything I have at this point.
Chris,
not
did
just
you like
exhausted.
her? Did you like her? No, I just want to know, just
because you're still not saying
Hold on,
like.
can I ask you this?
Well,
did you like her?
Dude, I wouldn't have stayed there if I didn't like her.
Okay, when you were in
at that point.
Vancouver, did you have feelings for her?
Of course.
Okay.
Of course I had feelings for her. What are we talking about?
No,
But
I'm just asking.
4 days in, I wanted to go home. And that's the reality.
But why did you want to go home?
Because I didn't think it was working. I thought the age gap was too far for us, and I thought that it was creating an unnecessary
So
pressure.
why not just
tell
own
her
that? Yeah.
Because I asked you.
Chris, I love you as a friend, and I hear what you're saying about the shopping date and stuff, but everyone was out of their routine.
Yeah.
We were tanning. We were going to the gym.
Yeah.
I was there. You were there. But Leah did not deserve you pretending like you liked her so that you came off as a nice guy. And to be strung along, that was not fair to her.
At all.
And you could see her genuine emotion and her genuine connection. And here she was believing your words, but everybody else
could
knew
see
that
it.
those weren't your intentions.
Yeah,
and it was
she
really,
was
really
crushed.
sad watching that
It
back
was.
to see how much you liked him. And I think everybody was thinking the same thing. That was really sad to see, and how you just wanted to come off as a nice guy. But I hear what you're saying about the shopping date. I know that's frustrating, but we were all out of a routine.
Let me just tell you why I did what I did with the shopping date. Because you literally told me maybe like a day before. Remember, I listened to everything you said. You literally told me you took a girl that you didn't even date and you bought her a Prada bag.
Yeah, but I was...
Look,
yeah, okay.
right. But it was $400, y'all. If I had my, I got this little, but yeah. $400. And then you bragged about how much you spent on your grocery bill. Did he not? $600. So you bragged about all this stuff. And if you liked me, it's like, sure, whatever, you want these items. We shop together. Cool. That's why I was like, yeah, add the jewelry
but you told
too.
me that you didn't like it. That's why I was hurt by it.
But
honestly,
you saw me, I was like, this is cute. I will find something cute in this store.
I hear you, but you got what I'm saying there.
You said you didn't even like the girl that you brought the Prada bag.
Well,
how much is Prada these days, y'all?
That was a conversation
like,
about another
this mess
relationship.
was $400, baby.
Fair.
Like, it wasn't that serious.
Okay, let's.
Like,
I want to take a pause because everybody is kind of getting at Chris right now. John, Chris, and I, we're dating older women, right? And I think you just saw it just now with John and his struggle to find his words, even with the story he told when he was on the phone. You know, Theresa was saying he shut down. When you're dating a woman that's older and strong and powerful, she's used to living her life a certain way. And sometimes, you know, being single in the world, it's a mean world, you talk to people a certain way. And when you go back to a relationship, sometimes that doesn't always translate. And so the partner doesn't always feel like they can communicate back. So as much as, yeah, he didn't tell Leah, was he struggling because he really wanted to push to make it work? I'm sure.
But I think what's coming across right now, and Chris knows I love him. I just want Chris to speak his truth. And I think that the women are saying you weren't being truthful. But what I'm concerned with, I get it what they're saying. I understand wholeheartedly what they're saying. You weren't truthful. And I just want Chris to speak your truth. And it's okay.
Right.
Whatever your truth is. And I think and I don't want to speak for Leah, but I think if Leah felt like whatever your truth was, she'll live with it.
I did.
And so I'm just,
and
all I'm saying, all I want you to do is just speak your truth. Whatever it is, I ride with you.
Exactly.
I ride with you 10 toes down.
Like
But just speak your truth.
if you were struggling like that, I think it would have helped Leah and help you if you would have been like, rather than saying, I want to go to the gym and it's production, look, I am struggling with you.
Yeah.
This is what you're doing to affect me. And then you give her that opportunity to fix it and talk to you about it, and y'all can grow from it if it's meant to be. So,
but
you're
that's
not
the thing
doing
too
that.
is he did voice it, and that's why.
After a few days, could have happened faster. I can give you
But
credit
this
for
is
that,
why. But you have to realize, like,
yeah.
You got this, girl.
But like I said, my best friend lost her mom, and that was like a mom to me. I remember you had voiced that you said, I just want to be alone at night. I was like, cool. I remember I gave you your space at night all the time, right? You watched TV, you did your thing. I went to bed. I left you alone. Yes, I joined you in cooking sometimes just to have that we time. But I remember going to bed. I cried so hard. And then I felt guilty for bringing it to you while you were on the couch watching TV. So I literally remember, I didn't remember me asking, I was like, is it okay if I sit next to you or like sit near you? So I sat on the opposite side of the couch. And while you watched me, I just sat there. I didn't cry. I just sat. And if that makes me overbearing or clingy, then it is what it is. But like in that moment, yes, I would have wanted my partner to be like, are you okay? I know you're struggling right now. You know what I mean? But instead, through this process, I'm protecting you, coddling you when I needed that. And I'm like, you've come to me as like a victim a lot of the times. And at the end of the day, I'm a victim. Like you played me. You know what I mean? And I'm like, and in the real world, I would never get played because I have options. I didn't need you. I wanted you around. Do you know what I'm saying? And in this process, when I talked to my friend, I was like, I will come home for you because I don't need to be here. She said, me and my mom would have wanted you to do this because this could be your chance to find someone. So that's why I stayed extra long, because you kept telling me to my face that you want to do this for us. And then I would hear every little thing, some little things that you would say. And it's like, it would just be like a little different. But then once, you know what I mean? But this is a different world. So I was like, well, we're on TV. He's probably getting nervous with his words. But I wanted to give you the benefit of the doubt. And I saw, like, you know how you say, people say you date the potential of a man? And I was, because I know you're a good person. You don't mean harm, but you did harm, you know? And I just want you to just take that ownership to know. I'm telling you, like, for someone to say is like, I was clingy, and my friend needed me. I'm like her best friend, like her own, like, you know what I mean? And like, you took that from me.
I'm sorry.
Looking back, do you think you were reckless with Leah's feelings?
Yeah.
And in that pool day that we had, everyone, I think I remember Andrew coming over. He said, are you okay? And I said, I'll be fine. But I give me some time. And I don't even think you even checked on me. That's why I said, you're out here living your best life. Because I was literally on that thing struggling.
I did check on you, but I hear you. I mean, you know how much I was feeling for that, because you know me with what I just dealt with 2 years ago. You know how much I was feeling
and
for
that's
that.
why,
And I'm sorry that's how you
that's
feel.
why
I'm
I
so
wish
sorry.
you made sure everyone around you was good and happy, except for the person who was living with you.
Leah, did Chris know that you were going to say yes at the final ceremony?
No, I ended up changing my mind. So I was going to say no. And then I wanted to, after dinner, we had a great conversation. And remember, like, mind you, we had the mom, my sister-in-law, that all had great endings. And I was like, okay, he understands where I'm coming from. He finally gets what I'm trying to tell him. And he's like, literally, you know, it's like, you made me a better man. I was like, I'm not trying to make you a better man for the next person. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm trying to, like, I see you. I get what a good person you can be. And that's what I'm saying. Like, when you're on. But you like live in your head and it just turns and spins. You're thinking about so much far in advance, which is beautiful. But like, you just have to live in the present.
What did you think Chris was going to say at the commitment ceremony?
I knew he was going to say no. I went, I felt it the day he left. I felt like our goodbye, it wasn't like a normal goodbye that you would be like, oh, like all the other couples are like, oh my God, I miss you so much. He was like, I was racing to get out. And I was like, dang, you know, I get you stressed and all, but woo, I'm probably, you know what? That's why when I was like, you're going to miss me, I was like, I know, I'm just messing with you because I know you're not going to miss me. You can't wait. You're running out the door, you know?
Chris, last time we had you on the show, you caught me off guard because you kind of kept referencing this desire of being on reality TV. You had mentioned, I forgot how you said it, but you talked about...
I think he was 18. You thought you were ready for reality television, and then here you are at 27 doing...
Feeling like I'm not ready, right?
Yeah, I wasn't sure what you said, but it really caught me off guard because you were just talking about this desire about specifically going on reality TV, which, you know, is not a crime, but obviously... Given this show and given like how real it is for people and what they sacrifice showing up, I'm just wondering, did your desire to be on reality TV supersede your consideration for Leah's feelings?
So. And when you talk about desire to be on reality TV, I was talking about full circle. I was 17 years old. I thought I was going to be on Survivor. I dropped out of school because I was thought I was going to be on the show. never went on, but 6 months later, started a charity with my friend that was on the show, whatever. We started traveling, and I wouldn't have dropped out of school if that didn't happen. I would have started the business that I started. I started working out after surgery because I thought I was going to be on Survivor as a 17-year-old. Started my fitness journey. That was season, I think, 32. Now it's season 50, and they're doing the celebration for the same person from the show that casted me. So I just was referencing how I thought that was full circle. I was referencing how I thought I was so ready back then, but going into this show, I didn't feel ready, right? It almost felt scary, okay? And as far as sacrificing what went into it, those 3 days, those 4 days, all I was thinking was, I wanted to make sure that when I left this, I wouldn't, especially her family, because I hadn't met them yet, that we would both be able to watch this and be proud of what we watched and how we treated each other. Okay, so before I say anything else, I am going to take ownership to that and what you just talked about. I'm not going to beat around the bush, and I'm sorry if that playing with your emotions, all of this, right? Like, this is not what the intention was. But a few days into Vancouver, because I think it was very clear what we had in Whistler, and I thought that was really cool, and it changed a little bit. I wanted to go home. It didn't matter the money, it didn't matter the time, it didn't matter the screen.
What money?
Whatever it is, you're getting paid to be on TV or you're doing this and that didn't matter anymore. Guys, I'm just
your words, man. I'm just
you hear what I'm
you
saying.
questions.
It doesn't matter what I said it doesn't matter what we're out here for. I'm here. I don't want to be here anymore. And I'm struggling with this. And I think the next morning was the most difficult day for us, which was that shopping day and afterwards.
Well, I do want to clear up for anyone listening or watching, no one here got paid except for us. And people truly showed up sincere, wanting to meet real connections and real people and see what they had in common.
Quick question.
Sure.
I have to get this off my chest. This is something that I heard when we were filming. And I just want to ask if anybody else had heard this, and sorry, Chris, but at our mixer, the first mixer, right after we got back from our
Wine
date. Yeah. There was talk that you had approached a couple, maybe just one other lady, I don't even know who it was, and said something to the effect of, hey, do you want to make a pact to be together so that we can get to the end? Was that true, or did anybody else hear that?
Yes, we heard it.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
So I'm not crazy.
Correct. We all heard it.
I was approached myself with that, and I'm not going to say who it was, but I was approached myself with that. And if you want to talk about pact, the only thing I would ever speak about when it comes to that was my being uncomfortable with sleeping with somebody and talking about my celibacy, which wasn't shown. That's why me and Leah were so comfortable. That's why we talked about how, moving in, we're going to have some boundaries. Well, going all the way from several years ago, and that's not a joke.
So you're no longer anymore?
Right now, I'm not, no.
Were you guys celibate?
So we did not have sex.
Okay.
But we did mess around. Once.
Okay.
It's not hard. It's
not oral.
Not a big deal. Not a big deal. But he digressed. But yes, I've heard that alliance thing. And
I'm not trying to
if you want to, if there's the word pact, no, I hear you.
It's relevant
there anyone
to what
else wants to speak
about,
on this thing that Theresa brought up?
Yeah.
Can we get a definition of celibacy?
I
need to know what.
First of all, celibacy and abstinence are two different things. Celibacy is a lifestyle like a nun or a priest. It means I'm never going to go there. I'm not going to be romantic. I'm not going to do anything. Abstinence is for a set period of time, like you're saying, well, for religious reasons or for my own clarity, I'm not having sex until this set period of time or this event. So like with Vanelle, she was saying she's abstinent. So there's the difference, it's often confused, but celibacy is a nun or priest. That's not what we're dealing with here. Abstinence is what we're dealing with on here. And really you could be abstinent for a damn day. You could be abstinent for, a reason. As you all know, all the men, we have a close relationship. And I've talked to Chris, and he even said when we were in Vancouver to me, I'm struggling. I assume that's something that between them and they talk. Just like I assume any of our relationships, it's funny that the ones that have broken down, it's communication. And it's not age, it's communication. And the ones that are succeeding, they're seemingly able to communicate. Now, I do feel, I think Theresa and John, look, they loved on each other. I think everybody loved on each other. I do think that Leah deserved, that. And I think that the best of Chris would do that. For whatever reason that he checked out, the one person that you owed to tell I'm checking out is to her. But this is a life thing, man. We all make mistakes, so I always still give Chris grace, but I guess it's a learning experience. This is the ride or die. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, and my first protection was Vanelle, just like his was with Theresa and his was with Libby and with Pfeiffer and with Vanessa. I think all the women kind of sensed that, they had men that were in it with them. And I think Leah thinks you ghost her. And I just think it's a learning moment. It's all.
Yeah, it's fair.
We do have to move on, and we want to get to our happy couple. But we do have one more big announcement to make that, Chris, you will be on next season of Perfect Match. Do you hope to find your love there?
Yeah, that's the plan. That's the plan. I messed this one up a little bit. I'm still grateful, and Leah, to close that, I thank you for where we're at. Thank you for speaking your truth and hearing me, and I'm sorry for where we're at and how long it took to get here. But yeah, that's the idea. And I'm going in with the same mindset. I'm going to try to be myself. I'm going to try to be open, try to talk to, as many people as I can authentically. And if I find love, what a blessing that would be.
Can we expect a different Chris?
I hope so. I hope you see a more authentic Chris. I hope you see more of me and more of my character, for sure.
Speak your truth.
All right.
I am myself, and on this show, I've been myself. I was struggling with speaking my thoughts, and I hope that you see a better communicative Chris on the next one.
Okay.
For Vanessa and Logan's 20-year age difference, they found love as hot and passionate as the 4th of July, even if it took a little while to ignite.
And as we always say here at the Viall Files, all you need is love, some pink lipstick, and a confusing fake-out proposal. That proposal was one for the ages.
It was. It really was.
I mean, you've been engaged 4 times.
That was the best one.
Best
He's
one.
the winner. You can't beat that one.
In your previous 4 proposals, and no shade, because I had a few engagements before I met my lovely wife. But in your previous proposals, did you ever say, my friends were right about you?
Yeah. I should have trusted my gut.
Yeah, no, I did not say that.
Okay.
Okay, have we set a wedding date? What is engagement looking like for you two?
No, we haven't set a wedding date. We're planning to move in first, and our bogey's next fall. So either she comes to Dallas or I go to Ohio. I've looked at jobs in Ohio, or we start somewhere new. So that's kind of our bogey.
Well, I mean, again, I think, watching it back, a lot of people didn't believe in you guys. Did you guys break up during filming ever? Was that
we
not
got
real?
mad at each other or something.
We had a little bump in the road.
Okay.
Yeah. A little bit about my history. I would go on 3 dates with a guy, and one little thing would go wrong and I would run away. And I did that with Chris, when I was talking to Chris, I was like, yep, that's it. I'm out of here. And then I caught myself doing that with Logan over the whole optics thing, I was ready to shut down, and I had to come to Jesus moment where I was like, this is what you always do. You shut down, you push someone away. And we had a good conversation. And I was like, okay, there's a good guy behind here. I'm not going to run away. I'm going to push past my limitations.
Okay. Well, again, you guys, you're here today, you're engaged. How have you been able to make this relationship work?
It's constant communication, constant understanding, and compromise on both sides. I'm not gonna lie and sit here and pretend like it's all been roses and butterflies, because it hasn't. I mean, we're in a distance relationship, and it's been tough. And what you see on the show, you see a lot of turmoil and a lot of up and down, but it's translated into real life. But at the end of the day, we've always come back and met each other and strengthened our relationship. I mean, we have gone through a lot of shit in the past 9 months. When I say a lot of shit, that her best friend died in August. Her closest aunt died right before January 1st. My dad lost his leg a month back from filming. I tore my Achilles 3 months from being back in Vancouver. I got surgery a month later, and then I retore it again last month. So, we're facing all these hardships, but somehow we've managed to stay together, and it's been awesome.
Do you feel like you've both been able to really show up and be a team in those difficult moments?
I've been sitting here, I've been listening to, I'm older, these ladies were older, these guys were younger, he's shutting down, he's not able to talk, he shut down, he wasn't able to talk. Does that happen with Logan sometimes? Yes. But he's always able to pull himself back up after the bootstraps. I mean, he crashes out, I crash out, we both crash out. But at the end of the day, we always come back to each other, you know, and it takes a lot of maturity on his part. It takes a lot of patience on my part, you know, and patience on his part too, you know, but he's always showing up for me and I'm showing up for him.
I've been actually thinking about this a lot as I just reflect on my life and things like that. But they always say like who you marry is a really important decision. It will change your life forever. And I look back and like where I was before I met Natalie, and just in every measurable and meaningful way, I have so much more in my life. I'm curious, since you've been with Vanessa, how has she changed your life for the better?
She's helped me approach things in a way that I knew certain areas of my life weren't going to be the same forever. Like constantly going out with my friends on the weekends and just looking for the fun thing to do. You know, I know that's, you know, how you live your life in your early 20s isn't necessarily like that's a short era. And, you know, since being with Vanessa, she's pulled me in a direction that I always knew was there for me, but I wasn't necessarily following that road. And since being with Vanessa, I've started thinking more of what's down the line. What do I want more for myself? Do I want, you know, am I doing some things short term or doing them long term? So she's helped elevate me in ways that, you know, I've wanted to do myself, but I haven't been able to.
The conversation of children was brought up when you met your parents.
Mhm.
Your mom was very much
Yeah.
vocal about how much she wanted her grandkids. Has that been a topic of discussion since you've been out of the bubble?
Yeah. Well, we already got Gypsy Rose, so.
Yeah. That's my little shit too. She has black hair. She looks just like her dad. Yeah.
No, and we get a lot of practice. We try every time we see each other. So.
It's all that 4th of July. You know?
Yeah, right. 4th of July, every day. Yeah.
Couple million minutes multiple times.
How did you feel about the world hearing that moment?
You know, we know. Baby, let them know.
I know. It was the first time. First of all, I haven't been with anyone in a year. I don't know how long it's been for him, so it's been a long time. And so
Tell him how it is now.
It's obviously it's amazing now. Obviously, it's amazing.
Well, the truth is there's a tight window between come on versus like you know.
It had honestly been a while, and I'm not. You know, I was just trying to.
You're super into your woman, you know.
Yeah, I was ready to go, and man, when I saw that, I almost threw up. I started yakking. I was like, I had to pause it. The other day, this was Wednesday, and I like ran to the bathroom and I stood over the toilet and I was like.
Should have paused it.
And I had to catch myself.
Don't say anything.
Yeah.
I just say that's how I do it.
Yeah, that's how I should have done it.
No one knows.
Well, they said no, they're not going to play anything. It's just for safety. It's safety reasons. They got a mic the size of a dildo, dude. It's like, what are you doing, man? Yeah. Whatever.
He's made up for it. He's made up for it. We're moving past it. He's making up for it.
I think you just got to own it, man.
Oh yeah,
You
no,
know,
I don't care. This shit's fire. Why do you think I put a ring on it?
Okay, there you go.
It's gonna be a meme that says 12.
I didn't get five rings for nothing.
Is this the same ring that he gave you?
Yes, this is my ring.
Okay.
Love,
Yeah,
beautiful.
we've had a little. I wasn't able to wear it, so anyone who's seen me in the last 9 months, it was because of we had to keep everything quiet for the show. So obviously we can't wedding plan. I mean, obviously, A, we've had all the things that we've been through. B, how do we plan a wedding when we can't even tell people about it? And now, you know, things are out in the open and we can start to move forward and get things set up for the future.
You know, Logan, you got to close this thing. You know,
Yeah.
More engagements. We can't.
I know, right? I know.
I know. We got to follow through.
Right.
Okay.
Absolutely.
In all seriousness, I am curious. During filming, you had opened up to Vanessa about feeling like she kind of talked down to you every once in a while. And maybe that came from a place of just lived experiences. But that is obviously something that I think couples in age difference relationships, whether they mean it or not, like have to kind of find that balance. Like where one person might feel like, hey, I'm just like talking about my experience, while the other person feels like you're being a little condescending. How have you guys been able to figure out that balance?
Like I said before, you know, it's the constant communication And Jorge kind of touched on this a little bit earlier about how sometimes if you're not presenting things in the right way and you're getting feedback, then you got to take a step back and pivot and figure out a way to really, really be understood with your partner. And I will say this, at dinner, they didn't show it, Nick, but at the dinner with, the infamous dinner with Theresa and Leah, you asked me a question about a power dynamic at that dinner. It was a really good question. And Vanessa talked about it after because she felt some type of way about it. She was like, "Damn it, Nick Viall," and we were cracking up about it. But it was really good because that was one of the things that helped me kind of show to her what. Basically, I don't want to say plead my case, but some of the influences that helped shape us, and because it's not always, I can't do everything myself. I sometimes I feel a certain way when she says things, and I need other people to talk to Derrick about, hey, what am I seeing here, and what am I missing, and other people to help guide you when sometimes it's just you and the other person all the time. And you can't communicate perfectly all the time, so that helped.
Can I just, what's funny is Logan snuck up to my room when we were in Vancouver because he was going through a moment, right? And what's funny is we all would joke him like, yo, he's like, he and Vanessa, they ain't gonna make he's a last minute shot. And they have withstood the test of time. And I think a large part of it, I even think Vanessa touched on it, I'm amazed at the emotional maturity that he has shown. I mean, and he's gone through it, but he's stayed the course, and his communication has been phenomenal. So I mean, I think they're dope. I'm gonna be at their wedding.
You are. We're gonna let you officiate.
Hey man.
Wow. Yeah. And the thing is, like, I'm super OCD and he's ADD. So it's like,
Wow.
you put those letters together and it's some weird alphabet soup, man. And Derrick knows he lives my life.
I show up on time everywhere.
And it's just, and it's
God.
hard. And then sometimes it feels like I'm being bossy to him because I want him to hurry up and get ready or whatever. And he was on time today, though. He did really well today. I'm very proud of him. But it just makes things difficult.
He was late.
No, that was not. It was only 10 minutes. That's early.
Logan, how did it feel? Obviously, Vanessa talked about, she had this connection with Chris for a moment.
Mm-hmm.
Chris is your boy.
Yeah.
How did it feel watching that scene back?
Oh, it got awful. I wanted to punch him in the face. And then when she reposted on Instagram story, I was like, babe, come on.
It was
and then he reposted it. I was like, if I see this picture one more time, I'm going to crash out. And it's been 48 hours.
That's what they sent me. That was what the marketing sent me.
Got 1,000 pictures. That's the one you
That's
posted?
what they sent me.
Right. I'm like, guys, can we please? I love you. Let's
the video
that
marketing.
picture. You can market the show without that picture.
But you posted a picture of you guys kissing?
When I see her white fingernails like grabbing his face, I'm like, damn, dude, I'm about to.
When I called him and
woman.
asked him about the show, like, we were all talking about the scene, this not so great scene. So I'm like, yo, you okay? How you feel? He's like, nah, bro, that shit sucked, dude. Seeing my woman kiss another man, I'm like, not even. I was like, oh, sorry.
Right.
Hey, sometimes you gotta kiss a frog before you find a prince.
Oh, I'm your frog, dude. I'm your frog, bro.
No,
Let
you
me
were
move out the way.
I know, I'm your frog.
We all would look around.
Vanessa, what do you hope people learn from watching you and Logan fall in love?
So for me, I've been thinking about this a lot. Like, older men have been dating younger women since the beginning of time, but older women dating a younger man is like still frowned upon in society. So like, I'm hoping that people can see this and feel like this is okay. And we don't have to be ashamed of it. And that women could be, have all of it together and be with somebody younger. And it doesn't diminish your value or the person you're with's value. I watched the whole thing yesterday, and at the end, everybody was talking about like the age difference and the age difference and the age difference. And honestly, the whole time I was there, the age thing just went right over my head. And I was like, was I supposed to be thinking more about this age distance thing? Because I wasn't, I was just like living in the moment with this person with this soul that I never like really thought about it, And we got home and I still never really thought about it. And then yesterday watching the episodes, I'm like, oh, I think I missed something here. But I'm almost kind of glad that I was like oblivious to it because it was allowed me to put my guard down and not let outside influence affect me. And since I've been home, I mean, I had a 50th birthday party. I had 150 people there. He met everyone. Not one person was like, he's too young for you. They loved him. They thought he was the maitre d' of the place.
If age was a factor, then we wouldn't have all the connections that we have.
Exactly.
I mean, the fact is, if age is a factor, it's funny to me because then all of us would have been like, oh no, just in talking because it just doesn't work. But we dispelled that myth easily because people made connections and really lasting connections. I mean, and deep connections. And so then it became just relational issues. Relation has nothing to do with it. So that's why all these people out there are making their comments. I'm like, you're lonely. Why don't you go find somebody, okay?
You're at home in the computer by yourself.
Right.
Well, Vanessa and Logan, we obviously are just so happy that the two of you are still here together, putting in the work. It is really beautiful to see.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Let us know when y'all set a date.
Yeah. Wait, why can't we officiate?
Yeah, you should. Maybe we should do that.
Well, I'm
got a list.
All right, we'll put you as one of the group.
I'm no PK. You know? I'm no PK.
No, but you're good though.
We'll be the party planner. He knows what's up.
All right. Well, before we send you all on your way, does anyone have any final thoughts or things they want to share?
I do. I'm very, very grateful for this experiment. I was single for about 4 years before I went into this. I was abstinent for about a year before I went into it, and I was moving forward. I didn't want to do that until I found somebody I really loved and I wanted to be with. And I don't know. I said this on the show, but my mom had cancer. She was sick for 2 years, and she passed like kind of before the show. And this just really saved me, and I don't want to cry. I'm not a crier, but this just really saved me, and Logan saved me, and I prayed for an angel every day, and here he is.
Your mom would be so proud.
She
of
would
how
love
you carried
him.
yourself. You've been true to yourself. You've been so strong, so brave throughout the whole process. So she would be very proud.
I think thanks to Age of Attraction, because Age of Attraction, what it gave us was so much more than just even our own connections and the connections we made, men, women. I think it's like the gift that keeps on giving, and it dispelled myths that I always believed in. So I think the Age of Attraction, it was an amazing experience. Wouldn't trade it for the world.
And I wanted to give a shout out to Logan. We live in the same building in Dallas. So, and was not really seen on the show, but I had my question marks about them. But I've seen him grow so much. And he'll come knock on my door with a bottle of wine. Like, I need to talk to you.
For sure.
And I think that takes a lot, man, to say, you know what? I don't understand this part about, the relationship. Can you help me as a big brother? So I've seen him grow through that process, and I'm proud of him.
Appreciate
sure,
it.
man.
Appreciate it.
Grateful for you.
Yeah.
Anyone else before we wrap? Okay.
Okay.
Well, I just want to thank all of you for your vulnerability, showing up. Obviously, this show means a great deal to us, and what this show's about means even more. Age obviously can play a role in relationships and compatibility, and certainly can play a role in how we communicate or how we don't communicate. But that's what I love so much about this show. It's more about our compatibility and how we work through some of these issues, and acknowledging that sometimes age does play a role when it comes to love. And are we going to allow it to be the end of our relationship or something we work through? So to me, this show is more about understanding how we work through our challenges in our relationships. And I just want to thank you all for being so vulnerable and open.
Thank you guys. Thank you.
And you will always mean a lot to us. We certainly hope for many more seasons, but you guys will always be number one in our hearts.
You better say that in 5 years.
Well, I think that just about does it for the Age of Attraction Season 1 reunion.
Thank you so much to the entire cast, our team, and Netflix for giving us the opportunity to do this. It's been so much fun.
And always remember, age is sometimes just a number.
And sometimes it's not. But that's love for you.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
That was great. Good job, guys.
And that's a wrap.